a waste in our production into value for our common good. So we welcome all of you, those who are on site in the room here now, and those of you who are joining us virtually. There are quite far more people who are online than those who are in the room, and it was intended that way. It was intended to be a hybrid event with enough allowance for a lot more people who perhaps are not able to come in person, and this room can't of course take, if everyone online is here in the room right now, would most definitely can't be seated here, sitting pretty here. This place will be crammed with people. So it was intended that way and is already meeting that purpose. And I see that everyone here and online is desirous, when given the opportunity, to play their own part in creating value across the entire value chain of gas utilization, dealing primarily at this time with the gas that have been flaring for very many years. Of course, the Commission Chief Executive is on his way. As soon as he gets here, we'll start. That should be somewhere around 10:30. We will commence the event once he joins us. According to the NODSRA Nigerian gas flare tracker, in 2020, 7 months of 2020, we had flared gas that could have given us up to 13 gigawatts of power. Now, these are some of the reasons why NUPRC, enabled by the PIA, is leading in ensuring that we not only reduce gas flare, but take it out as to complete zero. We're not just taking it out and capping it, but taking it out and transforming it into benefit for us as people, whether it be LPG, CNG, LNG, gas to power, whether it be for fertilizer, whatever it is. We are all in the room here. You are the value creators. The regulators is to create the enabling environment and allow you, the value creators, to create value for your business and for the Nigerian people. So again, thank you for punctuality. Thank you for your punctuality, and we will start, as I said, sometime around 10:30, and we'll just go through the event when we get, I'll run you through the agenda when we get there. But for now, I welcome you to the Lagos Osun Hall of the Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. The hotel has not planned any particular fire drill, and they've said if we hear any alarm going off and continue to ring, it is simply indicating an emergency and will be requested to evacuate this room using the staircase through which I'm sure most of us came here. Some would have done with the lift, of course, and exit the hotel out of the reception area into the car lot in front of the hotel building. That will serve as one muster point. There's another muster point if you're able to find your way towards the Congress Hall area. In front of the Congress Hall, beside the Congress Hall, you'll find another muster point there. That is, should there be an emergency while we're here. And then when we come out to events of this nature, I always like to appeal to distinguished attendees and participants to very kindly keep their phones in silence and vibration mode, especially in a room this small, so that we do not distract one another from the beautiful color tunes of our phones. It's also pertinent that when you come out to events of this nature, you do well to take care of your personal belongings, much as it is an invitation-only meeting. It's also important to take care of your valuable when you come out this way. The lavatories, restrooms, if you like, is as you exit this door, do a left towards the staircase. By the left, as you're descending the stairs, you'll find the lavatories there as well. At some point during the course of the event, if we discover that we've been sitting for way too long, we will do what we call a stretch break. And that will be the time when people just stand up, stretch their hands, their legs, and move their bodies a bit. Not just to break the boredom, but it is being said that seating is the new smoking, and we do not want to damage our body. So we will do well at that time to stretch a little bit to keep our body moving and the blood circulating as it ought. Upon the arrival of the Commission Chief Executive, we will then go into the event proper. A bit of tone setting will be done. A welcome remarks will follow. After the welcome remarks, the Commission Chief Executive will be addressing us by way of the keynote speech for this event. Following the Commission Chief Executive's address, we will take goodwill messages from some stakeholders and partners. This time it will be from development partners and resource persons. We'll go from there into technical presentations where we'll do an overview of the NGFCP 2022. Synopsis of the request for proposal will follow. Highlights of the suit commercial agreements will follow. And then we'll have a panel session for frequently asked questions. Now these are questions that has been asked, some or most of them already on the portal, but we will create a panel around that and have an interactions to that effect. Following that, of course, will be your opportunity. Now, when we get to the FAQ part of the event, it will be the commission addressing what is known to be we will create a panel around that and have an I know what is happening, and I think you know as well. Can we just cut it out? Thank you very much. Okay, so the FAQ session is just to address the existing questions. After that, you will be given the opportunity to speak with the commission. We'll have one of the subject matter experts from the commission at that time to lead the session and take your interventions. We will then listen to presentations from technology providers, financiers, equipment manufacturers, service providers, the whole 9 yards. Now, this is also to create a platform where you see what technologies are available to you, how you can assess them, who is willing to put money down for you to develop these projects that you are intending to develop, who are the OEMs in the room who are willing to also partner with you in that regard. Now, all of this the Commission has laid out to not just give you this gas access, but also help you to make the most of it. We welcome our Commission Chief Executive who has just joined us, Engineer Benga Komolafe, FNSC, CCE. You're welcome, sir. Okay. I did say upon his arrival, the business of the day will begin. Is there anyone in this room that is a bit too cold? Or the air conditioning is okay? You okay with it like this? Is okay? You must have just returned from Russia, the way you are nodding. Russia and Canada together. What is all right? That's fine. We'll make progress. So we welcome our CCE, and upon his arrival, we're getting the event started. Once again, I want to formally now recognize his presence. He's a Commission Chief Executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Engineer Benga Komolafe, FNSE. You're welcome, sir. Let's give him a warm applause to appreciate his presence this morning. Of course, we're also joined this morning by the Executive Commissioner for Acreage Management, Ms. Rose Ndong. Very good morning to you, ma. Always a pleasure to be here with you. I haven't seen ECP&D, but I know he was here a while ago. Okay, Commission Secretary and Legal Advisor is also here, Barrister Mrs. Ayanechi, Olayemi Ayanechi. A very good morning to you, ma'am. Thank you for your presence. Dr. Nuhu Habib has been here, I'm sure he's... Okay, I know I saw him earlier. Dr. Nuhu Habib, Executive Commissioner, Development and Production of the Commission. I did say earlier that we're joined by certain development partners. We're joined this morning by the Chief of Party, Power Africa, for USAID Power Africa, the Nigerian Power Sector Program, Mr. Baba Tunde Bajomo. Mr. Bajomo, good morning to you, sir. A warm welcome to you. Thank you for your presence. We're also joined this technical. Can I get the black microphone? I don't know why this is failing. Let me have one of the black one. Thank you. We're also joined this morning by the Head Energy Transition Office of the Vice President, Dr. Mustafa Umar Sadiq, who is represented, albeit virtually, by Mr. Somkele Awakalo. Somkele Awakalo is virtual. Let's go ahead, give him a round of applause if you may. Thank you very much. Okay. Of course, we also recognize all the industry leaders who are here. I see the chairman of the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, Mr. Nico Jinuwe, in the room as well. A very good morning to you, sir. Please give him a round of warm welcome. Maybe you give me that one that was failing. Anyways, can you hear me at the back? As long as you can hear me, I'm fine. I don't know what's... the microphones are catching cold. Yeah, that's it. They're catching cold. Okay, so we welcome all the other development partners who have joined us virtually. As I said, there are a lot of them who are online. If the need arises, I will recognize them. But of course, from the NUPROC, there are also a lot of subject matter experts, most of whom we are going to be meeting when we get to the panel session of this event. They will be interacting with you. At that time, you get to meet a good number of them, as well as I'm aware that there's a huge presentation of the diplomatic community here. The European Commission, I hear they're joining us virtually. We also have representatives from the U.S. Council and Trade Department. We appreciate your presence. NATI, I'm told that NATI is also represented. All of the representatives of these agencies who've joined us virtually or in the room, we welcome all of you and we thank you for your presence. We welcome you, distinguished investors, or should I say would-be investors in the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program. Welcome and thank you for your willingness to help us, as the NUPRC has put it, creating value from waste. So we thank you for your presence. We also welcome gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richmond Osuji, and for the next few hours, I will be working as your program director as we move this envelope of gas flare commercialization from where it was to where it currently is. As I said earlier, the PIA has empowered the Commission to ensure that we create far more value from this resource. The original plan was to see that we're able to maximize about 700 million scuff of gas a day. I hear this particular one that we're doing now is somewhere over 250 that we're looking at from less than 50 flare sites in the next 5 years or more, guaranteed of what is about to happen. So, without much ado, I will get into the agenda of the morning. But before I do that, two of our ECs have just walked in. I would like to quickly recognize the Executive Commissioner, Health, Safety and Environment and Community, Captain John Roland Tolaha. Good morning to you. Please give him a round of applause. Technical, this mic, I'm concerned when other speakers start speaking. Do something about it, please. Thank you very much. Of course, our very first speaking engagement this morning will be done by the Executive Commissioner, Development and Production of the PRC. And I would like for us to welcome him at this point as he does the welcome remarks for this event. Please welcome Dr. Nuhu Habib.
Morning to everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Our Indefatigable Commission Chief Executive, Engineer Lafe, my colleagues as the two commissioners, presidents, the Commission Legal Advisor, and Board Secretary, our esteemed participants, men of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. In no particular way, this is not an attempt to basically recruit protocol system. I'm sure Richmond must have done so. So I will basically ride on, this just basically to ride on what he had done, establish to progress the occasion. So my job is very simple and clear.
So my job is very simple.
It's basically to provide an offer.
Basically to provide an offer.
That will set stage for the
commencement
for the gas, national
for the
gas,
national gas commercialization.
So you may recall that
the
petroleum industry
act
plays a very ambitious target. And that is the target that there must be an end to gas flaring. We are not only intended to end gas flaring. It's about monetizing the gas so that we can stream value. Of course, whether in terms of environmental sustainability, whether in terms of revenue, whether in terms of value creation. So that at least we can have an alignment with the men with respect to COP25, which he has sustained right from Paris to Scotland and more recently to Norway and to Egypt and Cairo. Now, if we look at the national determined commitment that Nigeria had made, or the president had pledged, it's anchored around five thematic sectors. For us in Nigeria, even though in oil and gas we are not the biggest emitters of CO2, we are the most impactful. And that is why it became absolutely necessary the National Gas Flare Commercialization Program is the first most important and impactful program that Nigeria should push. That will signal the commitment Mr. President made to Nigeria, to the world, with respect to Nigeria's commitment in terms of energy transition and that's why it became a priority program that the Commission Chief Executive had made a lot of commitment and unleashed a lot of capacity in trying to make sure that we achieve this target. And against this backdrop, the program was launched. We successfully had engagements prior to the RFQ. The RFQ stage has been passed. And successfully also, we are here to set stage for the commencement of the processes that will see us to the end of the program, which basically issues around data room consultation so that people can have access to relevant data, their packages ready, so that they can submit propositions that enable technical and commercial evaluation, and then we'll progress to the final stage where leaders will emerge. I'm sure today, all the commitment of transparency, accountability that the Petroleum Industry Act bestowed on the Commission, which the board, the management team led by the Commission Chief Executive and our staff have also shown enable sufficient commitment to ensure that there is a dawn of a new era. The regulator today is not only a regulator, we are not watchdogs. We are business enablers, we are value collaborators and creators. And it's my belief that gas flare commercialization is a classical showcase of the commitment of the Commission with respect to enabling these value propositions. So to everyone, you are welcome to this engagement. We pretty much appreciate all the commitment that we've seen and the interest we've seen. Our commitment, which we are going to get a lot more from the Commission Chief Executive, I'm sure when he came on stage, and our progressive commitment to work with you collaboratively, to support you collaboratively, and to engage with all stakeholders so that we can achieve the desired value that this program seeks to achieve. The era of gas flaring is gone in Nigeria. And this program, we are committed as a commission to make sure that every single necessary tool that is required, commitment that is required to make sure that it's a success, to make sure that it's done transparently, to make sure that we create the support base that you require to collaborate with us and stream value so that we can collectively realize the CO2 emission reduction commitment, Mr. President, have. That is our words, and that is our commitment. So without too much ado, I would like to welcome everyone and wish us a successful deliberation. Thank you.
We will ensure that it is transparent. We'll also make sure that all the support that you require is available to help the country achieve a zero flare era in our oil and gas production. Of course, I'm sure if people knew many years ago when we began exploring for oil that gas will become the thing of the future, they would have probably given it more attention when they were just flaring it and looking for oil, and would have made a lot more progress today. But be that as it may, we're here now to end flaring and transform that into value for our people. Let's please give him one more round of applause. Thank you, Dr. Nuhu Habib. Let me just quickly recognize the presence of the Executive Director, Gas Development for NNPC E&P Limited, Engineer Yakubu Abba. Engineer Abba, very good morning to you, and thank you for your presence. Onwards now, and to the keynote. Onwards now to the keynote. He has been quoted as saying that the wasteful disposal of natural gas is not only fraught with deleterious health and environmental consequences, but also a major source of resource waste and value erosion for the country. So when we look at the theme of this morning's event, creating value from waste, the NGFCP as a critical link to sustainability of operations and Nigeria's energy transition journey. And you realize that the team has worked together, enabled by his vision and leadership, to ensure that this happens and that you who are coming to invest are supported, as you've listened to the EC DMP said. So I want to thank him as we welcome him to talk to us and give us this theme presentation as to why we are here this morning. Please, with a round of applause, let's welcome our CCE, Engineer Benga Komolafe, FNSE, for his keynote.
Good morning, everybody. I can see that we are all committed to gas flares out. We've heard from our Executive Commissioner, Development and Production, that is Dr. Nuhu Habib, that the Commission is not only committed to gas flares out, but that we are equally committed to full commercialization for value optimization of this abundant resource of ours. So on that note, I want to welcome you all. Let me start with the protocol. Yeah, captains of the industry here present, the representative of the GCO, representative of NEITI, members of the diplomatic community, members of the press, that is, gentlemen of the press, the top management members of the commission here present, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my pleasure and honor to warmly welcome you all to the Nigerian Gas Flare Commercialization Program 2022 Bidders Conference and Investors Forum. This event is indeed a milestone in the history of our oil and gas industry and is organized to interact with all qualified applicants, partners, sponsors, and technology providers on the structure of the request for proposal, as well as provide further guidance on upcoming program of activities while listening and taking your feedback towards optimizing the RFP phase. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to first and foremost offer my sincere congratulations to all qualified applicants for their successful performance during the statement of qualification phase of the bid process. It might interest you to note that the program received over 300 applications, but only 139 were adjudged qualified following the evaluation exercise conducted in line with the RFQ published criteria. Therefore, for all qualified applicants, your success in the SOQ phase is no mean feat. However, the crux of the bid process is in making a robust and competitive proposal with demonstrable evidence of capacity to deliver on the flare monetization projects in line with the terms of the RFP. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very defining moment in the history of Nigeria's oil and gas industry, and being a part of this journey is by no means a trivial task. This is especially so because the program checks the box in many fronts. Apart from forestalling the negative impacts of gas flaring on the environment, the program also ends the wanton wastage of our premium economic resources. In today's carbon constrained world where fossil fuel is becoming less and less popular in view of issues of climate change, natural gas has assumed a stature of significance, importance as the bridging fuel for many oil and gas producing nations. For us here in Nigeria, gas has been adopted as our transition fuel to drive the industrialization of the nation's economy in line with the expectations of the Decade of Gas initiatives launched by the federal government. Additionally, the NGFCP initiative is also targeted at creating investment and employment opportunities and encouraging increased capital inflow to the Nigerian gas sector. Indeed, the value derivable is multifaceted and aligns with the focus areas of our sustainable development goals. The NGFCP 2022 is first among series of competitive auctions whereby the flared gas will be put on sale by the Commission to interested entities as prospective flared gas permit title holders. In this program, prospective bidders are expected to submit bid proposals in line with the requirements and terms of RFP, covering such areas as technical, commercial, financial, and other relevant information regarding the projects that qualified applicants intend to develop. Such projects may include a plan to gas as transition fuel, feedbacks or both for products to be disposed of in either the domestic or international markets. Therefore, by implication, the flared gas ends product is not market restricted. All proposals from bidders will be judged strictly on their merits according to the criteria published in RFP document, which has since been uploaded on the NGFCP portal. Distinguished stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, at this RFP phase, qualified applicants will have access to the data room for data prying and leasing, including suite of commercial agreements for the 48 gas flare sites on offer in this NGFCP 2022. The precise flare sites, volumes, and composition of gas offered will be accessed in the data room to be made available to qualified applicants via the NGFCP 2022 portal upon payment of relevant fees as prescribed in the RFP. The data room sessions will be held virtually to provide flexibility and comfort to all participants. Please be rest assured that the Commission shall ensure an open, transparent, competitive, and non-discriminatory bidding process in line with the provisions of Section 74 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. You can clap if you are happy with that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that the NGFCP 2022 is favorably disposed to bidders who may consider clustering of flare sites, as this offers economies of scale to prospective bidders and investors of the flared gas. In view of the dynamism of our industry, we shall continue to provide a predictable and enabling regulatory environment to qualified applicants in line with our technical and commercial regulatory mandate. I encourage you to use the question and answer session to seek clarity on any issues relating to the RFP. Our support team are on hand to provide responses and answers to participants joining the discussion online. The NGFCP management and technical team are also here to take your questions and comments, as this will be addressed to enhance the robustness of the bid process. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm confident that this conference would provide you with the needed clarity on gray areas and new ideas to take on this investment opportunity. I also have the firm belief that the forum would afford you the opportunity to network with other participants, share ideas towards achieving successful investment decisions on the program. Finally, we thank all qualified applicants and stakeholders for attending this event and look forward to welcoming you as permit holders in the Nigerian gas player commercialization program. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, Engineer Gbenga Komolafe, FNSE, Commission Chief Executive, NUPRC, reiterating what he has said since this program began: a total commitment to openness, transparency, and competitiveness in the bid process, and creating an environment that will enable all successful bidders, to partner, learn, and find solutions on how they can maximize their flare-out programs for the economic benefit of our nation. We thank you very much. So can we please give him another round of applause? From that, we're going to goodwill messages from development partners and resource persons. And first off on our list of the development partners, I'd like to welcome the USAID Chief of Party, Power Africa, as a Nigerian power sector program. For his 2 minutes of goodwill, let's welcome Mr. Babatunde Bajumo. Sir, you're welcome.
Good morning, CCE, distinguished guests, very important personalities in the room. Very excited to be here. My name is Tunde Bajumo. I have a very short speech, not as eloquent possibly as the CCE speech, but I'll make it very quick. I want to welcome you all to the official Nigeria Gas Player Commercialization Program Bidders Conference 2022. My name, as I said earlier, Tunde Bajumo, and I've been introduced. For those unfamiliar with our program, the USAID Power Africa Nigeria Power Sector Program is Power Africa's signature program for Nigeria. It's a US government partnership coordinated by USAID that brings together the collective resources of over 200 public and private sector entities. And our priority is to double access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa. Power Africa has 4 programs. There's a South African program that covers the region, the South African region. There's an East African program. There's a West African program, and there's a Nigeria-specific program to highlight how important Nigeria is to Power Africa and the US government. It's funded by USAID, and it aims to improve access to reliable and affordable electricity. The program has core targets. It's to add 10,000 megawatts of Nigeria's generation capacity and increase, and 3 million electricity connections. MPSP works to increase private sector investment in the energy sector, to address the problems of liquidity, to increase off-grid connections, and strengthen the enabling environment in which investments work. To date, MPSP has achieved 3.4 million new on and off-grid connections. It's brought about 1,000 megawatts of generation capacity to financial close. And we've attracted about $2.4 billion of on-grid and off-grid connections and investments in the last 5 years. NPSP has been a great advocate of the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program since its inception in 2016. In partnership with the federal government of Nigeria and the World Bank specifically, NPSP supported with the design of the original program. We focus primarily on the commercial structure of the NGFCP. With the program's evolution in 2022, under the able leadership of the CCA and his team, NGFCP represents a very crucial commercial investment opportunity with the potential to generate profit for prospective investors, to create new jobs in the energy sector, and to assist Nigeria address its climate commitments under the Nigeria Energy Transition Plan. NGFCP has the potential to address several issues at once, presenting a unique opportunity for commercial investment and a targeted intervention to address the climate crisis. If you look at the program as currently conceived, it has the potential to remove 13 million tons of CO2 from Nigeria's emissions. And it has the potential to generate immediately in the first phase more than $1 billion in potential annual revenues and creating 300,000 direct and indirect jobs. Today's conference marks an extremely important milestone for NGFCP. We are pleased with the significant level of participation in this room and also virtually. And this is, again, a follow-on from what had happened in October 2022 when we had the pre-bidders conference. I want to convey our own commitment to this effort, and I commend the participants who have gathered here today and those who have joined virtually as well. We encourage you all to ask pertinent questions. Please, let's address the issues that we've encountered while looking through the RFPs. Your inputs will no doubt be valuable to NPLC and all the stakeholders. This collaboration will ensure a stronger and more transparent auction process, which is, of course, the concern that the CCA addressed earlier. I will provide more robust inputs into the program. I commend the commercial investment community's level of interest today, and I thank NUPRC for their partnership with us at NPSP. We're in a good position to bring this program to reality, and I look forward to its successful completion. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babatunde Bajumo, and thank you for leading the NPSP in understanding the need that will generate sufficient power here to power Africa's largest economy and most populous nation. Thank you very much. And he's also giving you the investors, or should I say in some cases would be investors, the charge to ask all the pertinent questions from the challenges you've encountered in embarking on this journey. So we'll thank you very much one more time. Can you please give him another round of applause? Thank you so much, Mr. Bajumo. We appreciate your insights and wisdom. We will go over now to the technical presentations. Before that, just to double check that Somkele is not online. He's not online. Okay, he's not online. So we're going to go to the presentations because Somkele, who was supposed to take the other goodwill, maybe is having network challenges. But as we proceed with the program, if we have time, sufficient time in the next couple of hours, we can take some of these goodwill messages that we would skip at this juncture because of network challenges. So we'll go over now to the technical presentations where we're looking at the overview of the NGFCP 2022, the synopsis of the request for proposal, and the highlights of the suite commercial agreement. All of these will be done or handled by subject matter experts here at the NUPRC. Yeah, you can bring them up. Bring them up. Well, we're going to be having it in. Come this way. That's all right. The third one there. Okay, so I'd like to invite the following subject matter experts who will come and do justice to these technical presentations, because the CCE has assured you that you would get sufficient information what you are embarking on here today. So let's begin by welcoming the moderator, Engineer Janice Anyanwu. Engineer Janice, you're welcome. Engineer Janice is joined by Olalekon OJ. Please put your hands together for them. Put your hands together for them. These are subject matter experts who have taken this mandate and have been running with it to bring it to where it is with you now. And completing the number, let's welcome Austin Okwa. Austin Okwa, you're welcome. Put your hands together for this. Thank you very much. Technical, I need 2 more microphones. You have them there. Can I have 2 more microphones? Okay, so just forgive my interruption. Because of the exigencies of his office and time, CCE would have to leave at some point. So please, when he leaves, we appreciate his presence, but the program has not ended. We appreciate that. So my CEC, please, can we please give him a round of applause as he exits? Thank you very much. Okay, I want a quick group photograph. This place will be good. This place will be good. Our Isi Adiola, I saw you just now. There's a seat for you in front. Where are you? Okay. Please remain seated. We're just getting started. CCE has to just go and attend to the matters. Mr. Bajumo, please, can you join this photograph? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, CCE. So Somkele, I'm told you're online now. We'll just take Somkele's 2 minutes and then pass it on to Engineer Anyanwu, who would moderate the session with his colleagues on the technical presentations. So please, if you can hear me, Somkele Awakalo, if you can hear me, of the Energy Transition Office of the Vice President, can you just say something? Good morning, Somkele. Technical, is he speaking? Can I see his video? If your video is off, please turn it on, Somkele. Please turn on your video. Unmute your microphone. Unmute your microphone. He's trying to unmute. If he's still having technical issues, we can just go ahead with the technical presentations and technical issues. Sometime? All right. Technical, I'm counting on you to make sure that Somkele talks to us now. He's speaking on behalf of the Energy Transition Office of the Vice President by way of a goodwill. It's Keme, is he still there? First off, he's logged off again. He's off again. Oh well. So we'll carry on. Of course, we'll carry on. We'll carry on. We'll carry on. All right, gentlemen. I think Sonkele is it.
So at this point, we're going to be doing a presentation on the NGFCP. And I hope that we have it from the technical team so that it can be displayed, so that the audience can go along with us while we do the presentation. So can I get a confirmation that we have the presentation, please? Okay, while we wait for that to materialize, so what we're going to be doing basically is walk us through the NGFCP. We're going to have 3-part presentations. And in that 3-part presentations, we're going to give you the overview of the NGFCP, the legal framework, the objective of the NGFCP. And then we will do a deep dive into the RFP, which is the request for proposal, which is the stage that we are in this auction bid process. And thereafter, we will do a presentation on the suite of commercial agreements. These will be the agreements that would tie up all the knots related to the NGFCP program. So I'm still expecting that the video would come up so that the visuals will make some impact on the audience. But moving ahead, I'd like to walk us through the overview of the NGFCP. What is the objective, or what are the objectives of the NGFCP? If you listened to my Commission Chief Executive and the Executive Commissioner who gave the welcome speech, you heard that the government of Nigeria made commitments, the president made commitments on COP25 that we would work towards elimination of gas flaring. But more importantly, in COP27, the Commission unveiled guidelines for methane emission mitigation and management. All of this is to help us to meet our nationally determined contribution. So that is to show that Nigeria is committed to a sustainable exploitation of its petroleum resources. So basically, the NGFCP is part of those low-hanging projects aimed at eliminating flares. But what are the key objectives? It's been identified that gas flaring has deleterious impact on the environment. It has a huge impact on climate change. All of the global warming issues and all that are associated with man-made emissions of carbon dioxide. And that is part of the huge impact that gas flaring brings into the space. But apart from forestalling this deleterious effect of gas flaring on the environment, there was also need for the Commission to ensure that there is an end to wastage of premium economic resource. You will agree with me that gas is a resource in its right, and in this decade of gas, where the country has chosen gas as its transition fuel, there is need to abate or end the wastage, the wanton wastage of this very important economic resource. Don't you agree with me? Absolutely. So these are the objectives. End wastage of premium resource, also put a stop to flaring, which impacts the environment very negatively. And so in this bid process, what is the outcome that we are expecting? Well, we expect that at the end of the process, we are going to be awarding permit access, or rather, permit to access gas, which means all you qualified applicants who are in the bid race or in the bid process, if your proposals are judged as winners in the bid process, and you will be given a permit that allows you to access flare gas. That is the end goal of this. And the idea is that you've gotten technologies, proven technologies, and you've gotten the financial capacity to be able to take gas from flare to market. So at the end of the day, we'd like to see that gas flaring ends because you've got solutions that would monetize gas and end this deleterious practice of gas flaring. But this program isn't existing just from the air. It has legal backing. So what are the legal framework that supports this program? First is the Petroleum Act. And then we have a new law, which is the Petroleum Industry Act of 2021. Section 105 prohibits flaring of natural gas. And in Section 108, it speaks about a plan to eliminate and monetize flaring that must be submitted by all producers of gas. And of course, the right of the commission to take gas that are destined to flare and to monetize it or to utilize it in a way that it seems fit. And there are a lot of guidelines pursuant to the Act, the Flare Gas Prevention of Waste and Pollution Regulation of 2018. And we have 4 guidelines pursuant to this regulation that enables us to actually implement the expectations and objectives of the NGFCP. But what has been our journey so far? Okay, I never knew that the video is, the screen is already here. So can I see the slide, or do I have something to push the slide? Please, if you can go to slide number 4 on the journey so far. So the NGFCP, of course, you probably know it started around 2019. However, there was a pause. And in August 2022, the Commission Chief Executive inaugurated a management team to implement the program. And in September 2022, the program was launched by the issuance of the request for qualifications. And then around October 2022, we held a pre-bidders conference, an event like this where we also interacted with bidders and interested parties and investors. And then we got your feedback that we fed into the process. And then here we are. At the end, or rather even before now, we had the statement of qualifications that you submitted evaluated. And then we have qualified applicants ready to submit proposals. And here we are during the proposals phase, and we are having this interaction in order to fill your pause, also get feedback from you in order to see ways to make the RFP or request for proposals stage very effective and profitable for all stakeholders and interested parties. Next slide. But just to say how we started, the RFQ dashboard. And so we had about 265 interested parties who were entirely new parties that came onto the NGFCP program. And we also have about 35 who were old participants. Now, you probably know what we call old participants, because this is a hybrid process. Because there was the initial iteration of the NGFCP, we had people who had started participation in the process. And during the pause, we gave opportunity when this program was relaunched that those who showed significant interest could actually come back and really validate their entity, why new entrants would do a registration of their entities and then proceed in the process. And that's what we had. So we had a status verification which allowed those old applicants to take advantage of monies that they had already, payments that they already made for fees, for processing. But we had new applicants who had to come afresh to join the process. And thereafter, we had to do payment verification to ensure that fees that were necessary before you proceed were actually paid. And then we did an evaluation that considered the technical capacity as well as the financial strength of all the interested parties. And then the result of the around 300 applicants that showed interest, we had about only 139 who succeeded as qualified applicants who are here now to participate in the bid proposal. So that is why you've heard when my commission chief executive mentioned, he said it is no mean feat. So for you to be at this stage among the 139 that have qualified to submit your proposal, it is by no means a small task. And so I'd like to also say congratulations to you. But if you look at the next slide, you'll see the program implementation process. Everything starts with the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, the commission. The commission is the bedrock of this program. And so when we started, we first issued a request for qualification. And that was a document that says, hey, we are relaunching this program. We'd like you to express your interest and give us evidence or a statement that you are able to participate in this program. And then you submit a statement of qualification. That was evaluated. Those that passed that process are the ones that we are having this engagement with today. And that's why if you look at the screen, you see where you have the star asterisks. That is the stage that we are. But after this request for proposals stage, you're going to be sending in your proposal, and we would subject those proposals you're going to be sending in through a process, through criteria that is already set out on the RFP document. And thereafter, we will conduct the final evaluation of your proposals based on the transparent criteria published in that document. And that is why this engagement is very important, because we expect that by now you would have gone through the RFP document, and you probably have some questions that bug your borders or gray areas you probably want to seek clarity from. We are here to address those issues, and probably you also have some ideas you think can enrich the program. We'll take the feedback and try to plow it back in the RFP and publish a final RFP at the end of this engagement so that it will actually reflect the yearnings of the investing community, and then we'll be able to achieve our desired objective, basically. Well, when we have passed through this process, if you look at the screen, you see the blue-colored aspect. That is when we've given an award to those who, are bid winners or proposal winners. But you're going to execute milestone agreement, which would ensure that the project and proposals that you have committed to, you would indeed carry them out. There's going to be gas sales agreement and then the permit to flare gas. So it is after the execution of this suite of agreement that a permit to flare gas will be issued to you. Of course, there's also going to be a connection agreement, because you're going to be connecting to, you are a third party, you're going to be connecting to the producer's facility. Okay, so the agreement, the commercial discussion that binds you with the producer facility will be the commercial agreement. And then you have access to go ahead on the program. Next slide, please. Here we are talking about the kind of technologies that we are looking at. Basically, they are many modularized plants or process facilities. Many of them are scalable. They are probably off-the-shelf facilities, because the gestation period from project commencement to execution, we are targeting around 12, 18, and maximum 24 months. So it is not a very, you're not expected to have a humongous kind of project. These are modular plants that are able to take gas from flare to market. We're looking at mini LNGs, mini methanol plants, or modular LPG facilities and gas to liquid facilities. Next slide, please. Well, okay, looks like you jumped a slide. But in any case, all right, it's all right. Okay, so here, no, please, go ahead, next slide. basically, this is a summary of the flare site data. We have 48 flare sites on offer. And of the 48 flare sites, about 13 are on shallow waters, and that is 27% of all the flare sites that we have on offer. And on land, we have 24 flare sites, and that is about 50% of the total number on offer. And then we have swamp, 3% of the flare site in offer. And you see the volume range. So the volumes expected from 0.5 to 48 million scoff per day. If you take a look on the screen, you notice that the main, the huge volumes are in the shallow waters, where you have between 1 and 48 million scoff per day. And then if you also take a look, you see that we have about 16 and 15 million scoff per day in the land and swamp. So basically, this is to give you an overview of what the sites are. Remember, as bidders, you will have the opportunity to pry and list data at the end of this process. In fact, immediately after this conference, the data room will be opened, and you're able to actually leverage on the data room to know more about the composition and the components and volumes of particular flare sites that you are interested in. At this point, I'd like to hand over the microphone to the next presenter, who will now walk us through the details of the RFP document. I'd like to call on Engineer Olalekan Oje.
Thank you, Engineer Janice, and good morning all. I'm standing on existing protocol. So I'll be taking you through the RFP process. Where's the slide, please? Yeah, the next slide, please. So I'll be taking it from where Engineer Janice ended. He did talk a little bit about the flare sites. So from what he had described, you could see we have like 48 flare sites, and they are all spread across different terrains: land, swamp, shallow offshore. Besides, they also have different sizes. So this time around, we're talking about how do you, first of all, get to know the kind of flare site of interest you want. So I'll be talking to you about the flare site data access. So to access the flare site, first you need to do what we call data prying. So that means you'll be going into our data room. Of course, there's a fee applicable so that you can go into our data room and then go and pry data. And what is data prying like? You can imagine like maybe a man that wants to marry, that's looking for a bride, for instance. So you could have different brides in their gown, right? So the man can come, of course, look at them. They are wearing their wedding gown. It is veiled, okay, but you can see their shape. You could get a sense of what they look like. You could even try to peep, you understand, but they are still veiled all the same. So that is what this data, the data prying is like. So when you come for data prying, you are going to see all the flare sites in their various locations where they are. So you are going to see all of them, and you are going to get snippets into what they contain. In other words, you are going to be getting historical data for those flare sites. So you can imagine from their historical historical data, what the volumes have been. You can begin to imagine, okay, what is it going to be going into the future. Besides that, we are also giving you a little snippet, okay, into what the forecast is. You get like maybe 1 or 2 years forecast so that you can begin to imagine. And in fact, if you are very good at imagining, looking at what is happening now that there's an uptick in oil production in Nigeria, then you can imagine that perhaps even some of this volume we have here might even be going up as we progress into the future. So what else? You also see their geolocation, as it were. So you can see which one is close to which, in case I want to cluster, because this program really favored clustering of flat sites. So if I want to cluster which one really is close to which, based on historical data, which one is likely to be amenable for me to cluster and bond it together. So that is what you get doing when you are doing your flat site prying. And of course, there is a fee to that, and everybody, all participants, before you move to the next stage, you have to pry data. You have to pay the data prying fee. Now, if you are pry the data and you have an idea, okay, I think like the man I mentioned, okay, I think I like some of our folks from the north, they can even marry for, right? So if you want multiple of such, you could say, I think I like this, you can point to them. So then you now come for what we call the data leasing. That means you now want to watch, you want to see the whole glory of that data. What does it entail, including the composition and a whole lot of other data about that flat site, and that's the data leasing. So now the data prying has allowed you to zero in on your data of interest, then you now list that data. Now, please, I think it's good I mentioned here that it is the data that you lease that you can only make a proposal for. So if you are making a proposal for a data that you did not lease, then I think that proposal may not progress. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a quick talk about what the RFP itself contains, right? So we have, it's a package, right? After we've gone through the RFQ, so because you must have gone through the RFQ, most of you have gone through that stage, you've been pre-qualified, and that is why we now issued the RFP, and that was issued, I guess, last week, Monday. So it's been a couple of days now that we believe most of you will have gotten an opportunity to go through it, so that, of course, you can engage us here with your question. And this program, because it's on an accelerated pace, so it is expected that all proposals should be submitted on or before 28th of December. That is the expectation. Of February. 28th of February, sorry, slip of tongue. My apology, please. So by 28th of February, so we're expecting that all bids should be in on or before 28th of February 2023. So what do you have in that package itself? Of course, we'll be talking in detail about that, a little more detail about that. But basically, you have the RFP document, as it were, that talks about what is expected when you want to put up the bid. And also, we have things inside the bid, like the suite of agreements. You could see the gas sales agreement, milestone agreement, and connection agreement that you are also need to go through. And these are some of the documents you'll be executing. My other colleague will talk about that going forward. So the proposal submission require that you submit both physical copies and also online. And there are two envelopes. We call one envelope 1. The envelope 1 contains all the mandatory that is required of you, and also contain the technical and commercial proposal that you're going to be having for us. So that is what we'll have. We could see a little bit of that in the next slide. Then envelope 2 contains your financial proposal. So financial proposal is, okay, what are the price? What price are you bidding for this flare? So what volume do you want to take and at what price? So that's the financial, as it were. So we urge all QAs to try and make online submission. So because we don't want a situation where you only make a physical submission, even though we know our system are intact, but we know that online submission are better tracked because you can trace the history. You understand? We can easily even follow through with the online. So the requirement is submit both online and physical as it were. So, and when you are submitting, this is very important for the hard copy that you are going to be submitting, because the hard copy is just a backup. But all the same, it's important that you follow this format here. We've shown the format that you are going to code. There's a code, NGFCP 2022. Then your unique ID must be there. Then, of course, with the number of proposals, because you are also allowed to do multiple proposals. So if you are having 2, this is the first one and this is the second one. So you name the first one 001, the second one 002, just as been explained here. So, and also, we want all your submission to be accompanied by your evidence of payment, evidence of your proposal processing fee, evidence of your data buying and data leasing. So we want to see all those. So next slide. Okay. So now let's talk about what we have in the envelope one, the mandatory. So some of you, in fact, all of you have gone through it before. The mandatory is still more or less the same mandatory as it were. So you're just trying to let us know more about you. You understand? So these are documents.
Let's show some kind appreciation. Olaleko? Where's Leko? Huh? Can someone please get Olaleko for us? Jennifer Ifani Okoro is of the Power Africa NPSP. She's also on the panel. And moderating the panel for us is Commission Secretary and Legal Advisor. Let's welcome Barrister Mrs. Olayemi Ayanechi. Can I put our hands together and please welcome all members of our panel? Let's show them some appreciation. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, distinguished. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much once again for attending this bidders conference. And we recommend that you took the bull by the horns. This is very poor. Hello? If I shout, can you hear me?
Sound.
Hello?
Can you hear her? Sound.
You can hear me?
Sound.
It's not working. Try this one. Hello? No, this is working. It's only So thank you very much once again for gathering here today. I will stand on the existing protocol, and I just hope everybody is settled. You have heard our presentation, and even I am a member of the commission. I was sitting there, and even I was murmuring on your behalf. Yes, on your behalf, there were some times that I murmured. I'm like, why? But I hope these FAQs that we'll have, we can then dig into those concerns that you still have, because trust me, it's not as bad as you think. We are constantly reviewing the process, we're reviewing the rules, just to make sure that we put you bidders in a position whereby ultimately, while you're ending gas flare, you're also making some money. So whatever we leave on the table today, I assure you that we will take it back to our principal. We will listen to you, we will discuss it, and we'll try and put in a solution that works. In the meantime, I'm going to be engaging my colleagues here on some of the FAQs. So from time to time, people do ask us questions. And because we know that time is short, time is of the essence, and all those people that ask questions, they may not necessarily be here today. So we've kind of condensed all those questions that we've had in the past. And we've done a list of frequently asked questions regarding this process. So I'll be engaging my colleagues today. All of them are experts at what they do. I mean, you've seen the presentation earlier on today. And then I'll be engaging them to find out what are the answers to these FAQs. So hopefully by the time we finish them, we would have answered almost all your questions, and we can then reduce your concerns to the barest minimum. So to start with, I'm going to go to Engineer Ojay. Welcome once again. And I know people tend to ask this a lot. Is there a comprehensive gas analysis of the flare gas? I mean, that's what they are bidding for. How do they know what is good and what is not?
Okay, thank you for that question. Yes, we have a very comprehensive analysis of the flare gas. Of course, if you recall in my presentation, I did say when you are going to be leasing the data, you'll be getting a whole lot more information about the flare gas data itself. So we've engaged the operators, we've told them all the various things that need to be there, including the composition. In fact, if you see the list, the extent of the composition, it's not like what you normally get, like maybe you are just in C1 to C6. It's a full stream of the composition, up to as high as a C10 plus, as a C2, including your N2, your H2S, your everything, including H2, everything is there. So you have a full stream of the gas composition so that you can use that for your own analysis in designing whatever facility you want to bring on board.
Thank you. Does that make sense? Do we understand it? Because I'm a lawyer, and the only way, when I see C2, H2, it sounds all very, very chemistry-like to me. But can I assume that everybody understands the answer? Okay, great. Okay, my next question goes to Engineer Janice. How will the award fee for permit to access flare gas be determined? Are we just going to pull a number out of our hats? Or is there a science to it?
There is a science to it, and it is meant to be commensurate to the value derivable from the gas. So it is a fee that is tied to the volumes. And so in the RFP, you've had a range of volumes and fees, flat fee attached for that range. I don't have the numbers to give, but it's in RFP document. So for instance, if you say it is 1 million SCOF, just as an example, there's going to be 1 million SCOF to say 5 million SCOF. There's going to be a fee, a flat fee, payable by the permit holder or the gas buyer at the end of the day in order to, be issued the permit to access gas. So the higher the volume, meaning the higher the value derivable from the flare stream, then the higher the fee is expected to be. And in the RFP, we have, I think, about 3 range of values, for which the fees are allocated. So it is fee-based fee system.
And this fee will be paid before we award them a permit?
Very correct. The fee would be paid before the award of permit, because that is what actually seals the deal for us.
Okay. And I know I've heard you technical people talk. We're not expecting any number in the millions of dollars, are we? Like in the marginal field bid rounds?
No. This is actually in few thousands.
So I assure you,
in few thousands of dollars, not even the high tens of thousands.
So no matter the volumes, we assure you it's something you'll be able to afford.
Maybe I could say clearly, anyone who has read the RFP will know it's a maximum of $5,000. So the primary premise upon which the program is based isn't revenue generation, it's more of waste and pollution reduction. So it's just a token.
Let me correct what Engineer Gushola said. It's more of revenue generation for you, but not for us. We are not in for the money, but we want you to make all the money. So I'm just correcting that you're talking about us, not them, before they think they will not make money. You will make all the money, but we are not there for the money. We just want the flares to go out. Okay, my next question is to our dear Niger Delta barrister, Barrister Austin. I like your cap. I know I told you that earlier. And the question is, I know that we tell people that they will have to do infrastructure on a lease that belongs to somebody else. And I'm sure they will. And people have asked me this personally. What if the operators don't give us access? Will there be any easements offered by government or authorities for facilities, construction, and operations?
So there will be easements to such facilities. Basically, a leaseholder, whether he's a oil processing license leaseholder or a PML or whatever has a lease or license, government usually have what we call right-of-way and easement into such their lease area. And in the same vein, that will be extended to the permit holder to enable you have some sort of right-of-way to the lease area. Now, the right-of-way you have, it will be extended to the extent of where you want to put your project. However, the leaseholder, even though the Act has said, Section 91 has said, gives government this express right of way, the leaseholder has a right to say, oh, this access you want to take will infringe on me in one way or the other, the issue of safety, health matters or otherwise. Where such complaints are being raised by the leaseholder, the commission will look into such complaint as a way to finding a way to resolving it. But yes, you have right of easement. And you mentioned that when I was talking about the connection agreement, part of the handshake you'll be having is it will be connected to this, because you'll be gaining access to the facility of the lease holder. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Austin. My next question goes to Engineer Janice. So will flare gas buyers have ownership of any carbon credits generated by these facilities, including carbon credit trading rights? And let me just add another question. Are there opportunities for carbon credit financing? Just take both of them together.
Yeah, so the program is amenable to access to carbon financing. If that makes the program, or rather the project, economically viable, that is very welcome. And in fact, it is already captured in RFP of the document, which is the guiding principle for this program. So when it comes to the carbon credit, it is going to be an arrangement, an agreement between the flare gas buyer or project sponsor and the government. So the sharing formula and how either the project sponsor or the gas buyer benefit from the carbon credit and how the government would benefit from the carbon credit will be a mutually beneficial agreement and arrangement discussed after the award of the flare site.
Thank you very much. Let me just add to our participants, if there's any question we've asked now that we haven't provided enough clarity, please just take note of it, and you can then engage us on that on our and speak to our session. My next question is to Engineer Gushola. And this is one question I've read so many times. What if the operator stops producing? What if production decreases? What do? I can't control the operator.
So I like the response. I'm already hearing some giggling. It doesn't seem likely that a producer, and I see many producers in the room, would stop producing just to frustrate a flare gas buyer. They're in business themselves of producing oil and gas, so they wouldn't necessarily do that. We have done significant due diligence on the data we received from the producer. We have engaged them severally. We have evaluated it with work programs that they submit to us regularly, as well as the field development plan, historical data, related it with crude oil production and AG forecast. So the robustness of the work that has been done by the Commission gives us sound basis to trust with reasonable accuracy and certainty the flare forecast that will be available in the data room. So producers, continuous engagement is ongoing even at the highest level to enable them support the program because it is their best interest to do so in line with the objectives of government and in line with the objectives of even many of the home offices of the IOCs. Everyone needs to improve the environmental credentials of oil and gas. So it's in everyone's best interest to do this. They sure will not frustrate you.
Very well said.
Can I add a little bit to that, Amanda? Okay, yeah, so again, let us appreciate the fact that the producers, or rather, what you are bidding for is gas that is flared. And that gas that is flared is produced in association with oil. So let us take the notice that the primary business, in this case, for the producer, is to produce oil. So is he going to stop oil production simply to spite the usage of gas flaring. It doesn't make sense. That's very unlikely, right? So the point is this. The company that is in the business of producing oil and perhaps utilization of part of gas and has a fraction that is being flared would of course continue to do its business, which is oil production and maybe some utilization. And so we do not see the termination or a sudden termination of operation for any reason. However, even though that happens, the law also empowers the commission to set up an interim production arrangement where the facility or the asset can be handed over to a producer, because the government or the federation wants to maximize benefit from the valuable resources that we have. So even though a producer says, I'm no longer producing, then it means that government might come and take over the asset, hand over to an interim operator, and production will continue. So in addition to the due diligence that has been done, continuous engagement with the producers, it doesn't even make financial sense or economic sense to expect that a producer would simply stop production in order to spite a third party from utilizing gas that is already destined to flare.
Thank you. Let me tag a question onto his answer. He's already answered the question, but let me ask the question. What happens if the OML of the producer expires during the tenure of my permit? And he has answered it. He said, the law allows the commission to put in an interim arrangement. So even if an OML expires, ideally we don't leave the lease fallow. If somebody else has it taken over, if we are not renewing, then we have a responsibility to put somebody to operate it. So there's really no time where the asset is allowed to lie fallow, so that wouldn't affect you. Our next question to Engineer Janice as well. Over what timeline are we hoping to have the project, an average, completed?
Okay, so I think I actually captured that slightly in my presentation. 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. 24 months is just like the maximum. And that's because everyone wants to actually get to the beneficial operation of the facilities. The end game is to make money for all you bidders who would be winners potentially. So we are in a hurry as much as you are to get to the time you will start making money. And because they are modularized plants, mini LPG facilities and things like that, you could get off the shelf, not long lead kind of facilities with huge development processes. We expect that on the average, 18 months is what it is. But we're looking at between 12 months and 24 months at maximum from the start of the project to a point when you start a beneficial operation.
Doesn't that just sound exciting to you? 18 months, you're in the money. So I think it's quite exciting. So my next questions go to Engineer Oje. What happens if the field development plan is mistaken? What if the data is wrong? What happens?
Okay, I think that question is in a way similar to what was asked earlier. And I think the key question here really is about the credibility of our data, as it were. So first, let me say, in the data we are offering in this bid round, there is no flare site from a green field there. So why do I say that? If you are having a green field, this is a new development. There could be a lot of things that are maybe a lot of uncertainties because they are just starting. However, we are looking at brown fields that have been producing some have been producing for even over 50 years, 30 years, 20 years. So they are well established. The data are well established. The historical information are there for us. So we can assure you that the data that we have are the data that we have scrubbed, right? And we can assure you that, yes, those data are very, very credible. So I don't see that, that concern or risk coming up at all.
Thank you. So you'll see that some of our questions are quite similar. And that's because we hear these questions from people all the time, even the same person. Somebody asks you that question, you answer, and they come and ask you another one. And that's how we try to replicate it in as many ways as we've heard it. So if you don't understand it one way, you will understand it the other. So my next question is similar, and it's to Engineer Gunshola. What if price all drops? What if because of price all drop, the producer curtails production? What happens?
Yeah, so we see a lot of persons who are extremely cautious, I would say. In this business, we know that oil price is very, very volatile and unpredictable. A lot of factors are responsible, including geopolitics and demand and supply scenarios. So indeed, oil price will fluctuate. Okay, but will it fluctuate to such an extent as to impact significant production from the asset, as to jeopardize the flare gas buyer? It's quite unlikely. We had oil prices go very low to $30, sub $30 a few years ago. Production continued. What producers will naturally do will be to cut costs, entrench operational best practices, operational efficiency, and try and improve the cost per barrel to the extent possible. Non-essentials are cut. However, again, producers are in the business of oil and gas production, so they would not necessarily go to the extent of cutting down production as to impact on the flare gas buyer. We are reasonably confident that all indications and price forecasts in the foreseeable future suggest that we should be in a positive general position that can sustain operations for the oil companies and indeed for permit holders.
And don't forget, in 18 months, they're in the money. And I think in 5 years, they should have paid out the project cost, no? So, I mean, the fundamentals
yes,
are
our
quite...
preliminary analysis show that for many of those assets, at rock bottom prices that these flare gas go for, a number of projects, best estimate, should have paid back within 4 to 5 years. And I think that's another attraction for this program.
Voila. Okay, the next question goes to you, sir, again. Are there floor price or ceiling price applicable in the financial bid for flare gas? Yes. What is applicable, floor or ceiling?
Okay, so for floor price. So there is a floor price of $0.25, that's 25 cents. And why did we adopt a floor price so low? And everyone will agree with me, in the gas market today, that is pretty low, both in domestic market and international market. But again, the philosophy is, it's not about revenue to government. It's about optimizing value and revenue to producers. We are mindful of the inherent challenges of flare gas capture. Companies have done it, producers have tried it severally, and there's a reason why they have not succeeded, why government has to take it out to give it to smaller companies who can manage smaller projects in order to improve overall economics. And that's why the floor price is purposely kept small, and that will be the start of your bid. So we expect that you bid something around that. Well, there is no ceiling to what you can bid, but all prudent flare gas buyers or permit holders will bid what is reasonable in order to underpin solid investment decision.
Thank you very much.
Can I make a little comment? So again, that's the floor price. But remember, this is a competitive bid process. So the floor price is the factor, because at the end of the day, we talked about the NPV, the total net take or pay, right? NPV. And how much you bid, multiply by the volume of your total volume that you say you're going to be mopping up, actually determines whether the value of your take or pay NPV. So the point is this: while you have a floor price of 0.25 per thousand scoop of gas, if I bid the same volume and I just add another 1 cent to it, and you remain on the floor price, I probably would bid higher than you. So while we have the floor price, there is no ceiling price. Just to help us appreciate, they need to play. But of course, your bid has to be responsive within reasonable expectation.
All right, thank you. So let me summarize what both gentlemen have said. Floor price is 0.25. You can bid $3, but please don't bid a price that you cannot economically sustain. We're used to bidders in the sector bidding emotionally. Okay, let me bid a figure that I will win. Let me bid a figure that chases everybody out. And then what happens? They can't develop. If you can't develop, it will be summarily revoked. So please do your economics and try and bid something competitive that is economical and allows you a room for return. Please don't bid out of the sky. Correct? That's what we're trying to say here. Yes. Okay, so Engineer Oje, this is to you. Which flare sites are under the NGFCP? I know there are hundreds of flare sites. Which ones exactly are covered by this program?
Okay, so for this program, we have 48 flare sites for this program, but that does not mean that for the NGFCP that we cannot expand the envelope, as it were. So because this is just a first bid round, so even some of the flare sites that are not captured for this bid round are to some extent under the oversight of the NGFCP. But for this flare site, we have 48, and I think we did display that during our presentation.
So what are we saying? There's more to come. Watch this space. Once this is over, we will get ready for more. Engineer Ogunshola, is there a minimum volume of gas that can be offered as flare gas for the NGFCP?
Yeah, Mr. Yanechi, if you could let me just piggyback on the comments of Oje with respect to this flare site. We did, as a commission, comprehensive evaluation of the flare gas disposition nationally. So you can imagine that in terms of flare sites, maybe we're around 170 flare sites. And we did a tier mechanism of these flare sites, some 5 tiers. So you know from operations there are category of flare sites that are just there for safety reasons. They are very good performing flare sites. So those ones, no intervention is required. There is a tier 4, which represents flare sites for which project has gone significantly or for which there is existing solution in place. However, flaring occurs there because of aging facility and because of reliability issues. So those are being managed under a different regulatory framework in order to get the producers to indeed debottleneck, revamp, and do what is required to get the facilities at reasonable performance level always. So that's another. So that will not be auctioned. Category 3 will be those flare sites of producers that we evaluated and saw that they had developed projects reasonably far into the project lifecycle. And so it made sense as a business enabler to allow the producer continue to develop these projects in order to attain flares out in those flare sites. So those also did not make this basket. So flare site 1 and 2, by our definition, were those that constituted the 48 flare sites I mentioned, and for which the offer to take by potential companies are being offered now. So it is good to recognize that detailed evaluation, and I see producers here, and we did detailed evaluation based on continuous engagement in order to determine this flare site, which the NGFCP offers the best alternative for heli flares out.
Thank you very much. Engineer Janice, so infrastructure is key. Will the federal government or the producers be providing any pipelines or other infrastructure to enable flare gas to be transported from the site to market under the NGFCP?
I think the answer is simple and is no. Yes. The reason is the flare gas is offered as is, where is basis. As is, where is basis. So wherever the location is, there is no there's no covering of where it is. The location would be clearly exposed to you. The quality or the composition will be clearly exposed to you. what you're bidding for is gas quality at the location where is and as is. So there is no obligation or commitment either by the producer or by government to offer any assistance in terms of infrastructure support, pipeline, and whatnot. Those are the things you would include in the economic analysis, your model, in determining the profitability of your proposal. And that is what we are going to be evaluating to see whether you are making an efficient proposal that would actually deliver gas from flare to the market. That is your job, and that would be part of your CapEx, your capital cost for this project. So there is no such grant for government or the producer to, provide such facilities. However, as government, what we're going to be doing is provide enablement, right? Regulatory enablement, facilitations that we might need to provide in terms of making the environment conducive for you to be able to do the business. But in terms of those CapEx spending, that would be the business of the flare buyer.
You heard the engineer. He talks in mathematical exactitude. No. Let me talk slightly as a lawyer and say, in addition to what he has said, of course, if the a producer has infrastructure, you can enter into agreements, right, to use that infrastructure for a fee. So it's not as if they will tell you, get lost. Or even in putting down your bid, if you bring us a bid that has evacuation mechanism built into it, so it's a better bid. So if you look at your data and you find that it's maybe stranded or has no infrastructure, let your bid include something that says, this is how I plan to move it to market. Of course, that would be a much better bid than somebody that submits a bid for the same site without that evacuation mechanism. Am I correct?
Very correct.
Okay, so it's not as if no way out, there are ways out, but you just need to think maybe a bit proactively to find a solution. Now, Engineer Ogushola, this is also a question I hear all the time. If a producer has submitted his flare gas data to the NGFCP for a flare site, it has plans to commercialize. Can he ask that that site be withdrawn from the program?
Okay, thank you very much. So, like I said, there was a detailed evaluation of the national gas flare portfolio. And we did this ranking and this tier system to determine which flare site qualified for this auction round. And that's what resulted in the 48. Prior to doing this, the commission, relying on its powers in the PIA, issued a cease and desist order to all those flare sites of operators for which we had determined that they would be enlisted in the baskets after due consideration. And that cease and desist is backed by law. And so no operator can begin to develop projects after the commission had exercised its right under section 105, subsection 2, to take the flare site. So it's ring-fenced, it's protected, and the commission will ensure that the interests of flare gas buyers are not jeopardized at all under the NGFCP, under this framework.
Thank you very much. Barrister Austin, the next question is to you. Will a project under the NGFCP be able to export the output? Do they export their feed, the product?
Well, the answer to this is very simple. Yes, there is no restriction on what you can do with the end products of the flare gas. When Engineer Janice gave you the various projects you can carry out, there is no limitation. So you could either bring your end products to the domestic markets, or you're at liberty to export them. So it depends on what projects, what technology you are deploying to utilize the flare gas you'll be getting from this bid auction. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the House?
Okay, my comment will be that because the reason isn't about there is a domestic gas delivery obligation, right, for those who know, which is a requirement for producers to bring gas to the domestic market. But this program is special. The focus is eliminate the flares. So if it is export solution that will bring about the flare elimination, so be it. The government isn't averse to that. But if we will bring it to the domestic market, it is welcomed. There is no extra bonus in terms of scoring of the proposal because of the market to which you are going to be delivering your product for this NGFCP program.
All right, thank you. Barrister Austin, I know people have heard us say over and over again that we're not in this for the money. And I don't want them to get to the RFP and think, these people can lie. So please tell me, what are the various fees payable during this auction process?
So as a foundation, we're not actually into this for the money. Or for the government. All the fees that government has fees are minimal fees. And you agree with me, if you compare these fees to what was paid for marginal feed bid round or the mini bid, you know that there is a wide range of difference. So for this, you just be paying, at this stage now, you pay what we call processing fee. Small token, chicken token like this. Then, like my colleague has said, you pry the data. So you pay a fee for the pry. Then, having done your pry, when you have now streamlined the flare sites you want to zero on, you will lease those flare sites. You are at liberty to lease one flare site or to lease as many as possible flare sites. Is it 5? Not more than 5 flare sites per proposal. So if you are doing 10 proposals, you could lease 5 like that. And each of the flare sites you are leasing has a fee. Now, if you progress from this stage and you are adjudged a preferred bidder, in addition to the suite of commercial agreement you execute, the milestone bond you will provide, you'll be required to pay an award fee. And he has just spoken to the range of the award fee that is based on volume. So those are just the small fees we are taking to enable you participate in this program.
Okay, so let me just add a little clarification with regards to how many flare sites you can lease. Actually, you are at liberty. If you want to lease everything, you can lease all, actually. However, in your proposal, you have, if you want to cluster, you have a maximum of 5 flare sites that you can cluster. But you are free to lease all if you wish to.
You know, I was happy with what Austin said. Now, when Oje spoke, I wanted to say, that's not what we said now. Why are you going the other way? But you know that we trust that you won't just go leasing for leasing's sake. And anybody that's used in participating in bid rounds will tell you that the cost of this bid round is next to nothing. Because the goal has never been to make money, is to get the flares out. Now, my next question goes again to the lawyer in my midst. Now, what are the receivable security requirements under the NGFCP? Austin. No, Austin. Oh, sorry, I forgot Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer, we haven't wanted to overburden our partner, but I will come to you very shortly. You have nuggets of wisdom to share with us. Austin, this is for you.
Okay, so in each stage of this bid process, there are security we require from you. You know, this is to underpin the seriousness and commitment of the participant, the qualified applicant in this process. So at this stage where we are now, where you'll be submitting your proposal, we expect you to give us a bid bond. The details of what the bid bond will be is contained in the RFP. Now, if after the evaluation, when we move to the next stage, and you are judged a preferred bidder, you will execute a milestone agreement, and you give us a milestone bond. You will recall that I did mention that the milestone bond will cover the various stages of your conceptualization, construction to commissioning. When you want to start taking the molecule of gas under the gas sales agreement, you give us a performance bond. And all these bonds, so when you give the bid bond, when you are submitting the milestone bond, the bid bond will be returned to you. And each have consequences. Failure to perform on the obligations as contained in those agreements, the Commission will draw on the bid bond. So those are the various security you will be required to submit for this entire process. And the performance bond will be for the lifespan of your permit. As long as you continue to take the molecule of gas, you have a performance bond there. Thank you.
All right, okay, one also fee cost related question to your thing. What fees or costs are payable to other parties as part of the ongoing process? We're not the only ones that make money here. Well,
so beyond the Commission, that's beyond the government, the only fee you pay again is the handling fee. You know, when I was taking you through the connection agreement, you said when you construct the facility that will take the gas from the producer's flare header to your facility, to your project, there is what do you call that? No, there's connection assets junction, you know. And for this, the producer is going to maintain and operate that connection, gas connection assets, and you pay what we call a handling fee. And I did mention that it's small token. You know, in all of this, I've been emphasizing that what you'll be paying are just small chickeny token. Thank you.
So, maybe I need to do a little bit of clarification. When I spoke about this in the earlier presentation, and there was a little bit of murmurings, I think I said something like, and you would hand over your facility to the producers. So you're not handing over your processing facility. What I meant, and that's what he just spoke about, is that connection asset, which is basically the manifold and the measuring facility, which is the gateway between the producer's facility and your facility, right? But if you have the mini LPG plant, of course, it's your facility. You're not handing it over to anyone. You're going to be operating and maintaining that. But what you are going to hand over for maintenance, for security, are those measurement facilities, the reconnection assets, the manifold, such that it will be in the maintenance and maintenance and operation of the producer, and that is the basis for which you make the handling fee payment.
I hope that's clear, and I'm sure we all understand why that is the case. Two people cannot maintain one because the facilities connect. So one person must have responsibility for it, which is why it's been handed over, correct?
Very correct.
Okay. So, Engineer Ogunshola, if unsuccessful, okay, so I'm unsuccessful, I haven't won a bid, am I cut out of the NGCFP forever? What can I do?
No, not necessarily. The framework is, at the conclusion of the bid process, preferred bidders would emerge. Those would have to meet certain conditions to become permit holders. Payment of award fee, execution of commercial agreements, and the bond to be posted. But because we understand that a lot may happen, we will keep reserve bidders. That's by the program structure. So that if a preferred bidder does not perform, the reserve bidder is called upon to perform. So, not winning at the end of Q1 2023 is not the end. So that is one way. You could still be a reserve bidder, one or two, and have an opportunity to participate in the program. Even if you are not, we understand that this business involves technical and financial partnership, and that's why the opportunity for consortia was created. It's still possible that an individual may want to join a possible consortium and plow in experiences, technical and otherwise, in order to grow the asset. So all of these opportunities will continue to exist for willing parties under this program.
Let me add a qualification though. A preferred bidder that doesn't meet his obligation can no longer participate. So if you are the preferred bidder, you do not pay, you cannot be part of a reserve bidder. You can't join, because if we don't do it like that, then there's a perverse incentive not to pay. So the only person that's locked out of future participation is a preferred bidder that hasn't paid what he promised. Now, Engineer Oje, data. Even here, I've had people come to tell me, you haven't given us access to data. When will qualified applicants get access to data, please?
Okay, so immediately, I think in a day's time after this bidders conference, the data room will be open to all qualified applicants. And there is a protocol for that too. Of course, there is a fee you need to pay to pry first. And you present your evidence, then you'll be allowed to do the prying. Then after the prying, you can come back to come and lease. Of course, you pay. And based on the payments you made, that payment will determine how many data you can lease. So that's the protocol.
Can you just take a little bit of time to explain to us what is the difference between data leasing and data prying?
Okay. I did try to, I won't use it, okay? I did try to talk about that a little bit, but basically, so what data prying means you come into the data room, you could see all the flex sites, where there you can see their location, you get a little information about their historical production data, as it were. You also get some snippets, okay, into what their forecast is going to be looking like, maybe 1 or 2 years. So that gives an idea, and even the location. Is it in the, is it offshore? Is it on land? Is it in swamp? So that provides you with some guidance on what flex site would be of my interest. And in case you even want to cluster, as it were, which and which are of my interest, then you can now come back and list those data that are your interest. So when you just get into the portal, when you make your payment, you are allowed, then you can pick it. As you are picking, it's counting. So when your money is exhausted, of course, you cannot do more than what you've paid for.
Have you noticed the Engineer Oje likes money? The next question is Engineer Janice. What kind of flex site data will qualified applicants have access to?
Okay, I think this would be interesting to, the bidders. So we're going to have in the data room, sorry about that. So we're going to have historical data, sufficient enough to give you an idea of the performance of the flare site. And then you're going to have the forecast data that is forward-looking, that would show you what you expect, when you come in, for which basis you'll be making your decision. So the historical data is actual data of the performance of the asset over the period. And you would find volume forecast and volume historical. And then beyond that, you're also going to get the composition. OJ spoke about that earlier. So you're going to find the composition of the gas, so that it will help you in doing your conceptual design, or what type of solution that you want to bring on board. If need be, you can also, based on the fact that you have leased the data, you can also actually be facilitated by the commission to get information relating to the reservoir data, all right? And even physical visit might also be facilitated, so that you can get a holistic view or overview of the site, so that you can be able to make your decision. But if you're just comfortable and satisfied with the data that you got, you could still make your decision based on that. But the data room has sufficient data resource for you to be able to make your decisions for this proposal.
Thank you. Finally, I have no choice but to put our dear friend, Barrister Jennister, our partner from Power Africa, on the spot. Madam, tell us, what is the form of submission of a proposal?
So first of all, thank you for sparing me and not asking me the very technical questions. But as a lawyer, I can definitely speak to forms. So thank you for that. So basically, the proposal is a two-part proposal that you'll be submitting. The first part is the technical and commercial proposal, which will be in envelope 1. And then the second part is the financial proposal, which will be in envelope 2. And I think I remember hearing Engineer Jed during his presentation, he did mention that the technical and the commercial proposal will be reviewed first. And then obviously, once you meet that criteria, then the financial proposal will be reviewed.
Thank you very much. Second question to related questions. What do preferred bidders do following the award?
So after the award, the preferred bidders would do 3 things. The first is to execute all commercial agreements. I think we saw from Barrister Austin's presentation what the suite of those agreements were: the gas supply agreement, the milestone development agreement, and the connection agreement. So the preferred bidder would execute all those agreements, then pay the milestone bond, and then pay the award fee.
And what about reserve bidders? What do they do?
So for the reserve bidders, they do have a choice as to whether or not they would like their bid to remain in reserve. And if they choose to do so, to remain in reserve, then the reserve bidder needs to be ready and stand poised to execute all those agreements if and when the preferred bidder fails to do so.
Thank you very much, Madam, for that clear and concise response. Now, my next question goes to Barrister Austin. Can the qualified applicant submit a tailored gas price per year? Wow, what a lawyer. Is the gas price automatically subject to escalation?
You know, interestingly, I don't know why a lawyer has to answer this question, but I will try to give a concise answer. Where I've stopped, my engineer brothers will come to my rescue. So, there is no tailor price. You know, we have said, even though we have a floor price, but then you know you'll be basing your submission based on the forecast that you have. So because it's a projected forecast, it means the price can actually fluctuate as you make your submission. So there's no tailor price, and whatever price you'll be submitting is based on the economics that you will have carried out on the data that has been made available to you and on the strength of that. And don't forget, whatever price you have submitted to us will be the price, will be the flare gas price that you pay under the gas sales agreement. I hope I've been able to do a bit of justice to it. If not, please.
I think he really did. So the idea is there is no requirement to tailor and escalate prices. We know inflation, you know, impacts on dollars, on naira, or whatever. You do not have in your economic model, your cash flow. You do not have to. There's no requirement to, you know, escalate based on all that. You could give a fixed price throughout the years of the operation for the purpose of determining your NPV. But if you choose, we still have economists who will do the evaluation in that order. So it is a choice left for the bidders, but there's no requirement for such.
All right, thank you. My next question goes to Engineer Ogumshola. So we've heard everybody say today that clustering is preferred, even the CC mentioned that. Are there any restrictions or rules against clustering?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think let's talk a little bit about clustering. And I think that's one of the structural shifts of the program when it's being remodified during this iteration. Analysis have clearly shown that for some of the sites, stand-alone flare sites may not make sense. You may have to cluster sites, meaning a proposal involving 2 or more flare sites. But clustering can be done via 2 models. Okay? It could be that you want to develop a single project and then you aggregate flare volumes from multiple flare sites into one site and then develop a project. But generally, we have seen that this program is not amenable to such because of the complexity of pipeline, gas gathering, and construction. That's why we are talking about scalable, modular plants, easy to deploy, easy to construct and operate. So when we cluster, we actually mean that you have, say, 5 flare sites. And because of economies of scale, you could potentially get 5 times from an OEM and get significant discounts. You maintain the same operations and maintenance team. You maintain a field logistic base where you support this facility. So that's the benefit that comes from clustering and the economic of scale in managing this modular solution. But there's a limit. Per proposal, there can only be a maximum of 5 sites. Of course, you could have multiple proposals that you submit as a flare gas site.
I think you're learning from experience, because I heard the last time somebody said, I want all the sites. So we're learning. We want there to be more people that win. Can a bidder make changes to the draft commercial agreements? Austin, you did say that you did tell us that there was a way we would treat any changes to that.
Okay, so I did mention that these agreements are on the portal already, are part of the document we have made available to you. You are free, you're at liberty to look at them, make your comments, and send back your comment to us. We'll collate them right after this bidders conference and update those suites of commercial agreements and republish on the portal before your due submission due date. However, after this collation that we may have done, should there still be any provision that you personally or your company feels that you want to still flag off, you can mark it up, print out the hard copy, mark it up, make your comment on it, and include it in your bid submission that you submit. When you submit them now in your proposal, we will not do anything about it. If you become a preferred bidder, before the execution of this agreement, we'll look at them and review those specific ones. But please note that there are standardized clauses in this agreement that will not be changed. Those standardized clauses will not be changed. Thank you.
So let me just quickly go to the other question I wanted to ask you, because you're talking about standardization. Other than clauses that are standardized, are all the agreements standardized, or are agreements unique to each flare site?
So what we have done is we have given you a template. So this template has standardized clauses that will be uniform in all the agreements. However, certain provisions. So for instance, the connection agreement, you negotiate some clauses and it will vary from agreement to agreement. But why those standardized provisions are put therein is to ensure that we have a level playing ground that gives us some sort of comfort for all the preferred bidder. And that's why we've had them. But you could make suggestion on changes of some of those provisions that are not standardized. Thank you.
And I can assure you, if somebody makes a comment, maybe identifies an error or an issue in one document that we feel is relevant to all bidders, we will endeavor to make that change and apply it to everyone. Because historically, standardization does reduce the room for dispute. So we'll aim for standardization as much as is possible. Now, the next question goes to Engineer Agunshola. Does a producer's responsibility end at the point of separation of oil and gas, or what else does the producer have to do?
Okay, I'm thinking about that question. It sounds not very related to flare gas capture.
Okay, I guess what the asker was saying is, after they are flaring gas, okay? So the gas is in the sky. What more does it produce? What is my other interface with the producer? I think we've answered that severally here.
Okay.
Yes, just to
so I get that.
tie it together.
So flare gas diverted to flare has been taken by the commission and awarded to a third party. So the producer has an obligation to ensure that best endeavors, this gas flows And because we're their regulator, we'll ensure that it happens. And because they continue to produce oil, it will naturally happen. These flare volumes that have been forecasted and have been sold, as it were, is ring-fenced, and they cannot encumber it under any guise. Okay? However, there's the connection agreement between the producer and the flare gas buyer. The connection agreement stipulates obligations on both parties to ensure that the gas is, there is nominations, it is measured, there is balancing and all sorts of conditions. And the operation and maintenance of the gas connection asset will continue throughout the life of the asset to ensure guaranteed supply of flow that is available, as is where is, to the producer, to the flare gas buyer by the producer.
All right, thank you. I have another question, and this goes to fair payment. So, a producer, you've notified the producer that his field or his site is under this program. I have like 3 questions in one. One, does that producer continue to make gas flare payments? Because we haven't concluded the bid process. It's still flaring gas, but it's giving you this gas asset to sell, to bid, to auction. That's number one. Number 2, you've awarded that gas flare, and a bidder still has a process to get to the stage where flare is no longer being made. Gas is no longer being flared, right? We've said maybe 18 months or even less. Who pays flare payments during that period? Is it the producer, is it the bidder, or is it nobody? How does the flare payments work during and post-award? Who wants to answer that question?
So I hope there are not too many producers here because they're going to get after me. So I think it's a principle that really matters in line with the law. Producers are under obligation to continue to pay flare penalty, and that is an incentive for them to support the flare gas buyer, the permit holder, to quickly achieve and develop its project. The earlier it develops the project, the sooner the obligations to pay flare penalties on the producer will be addressed. So it's an incentive mechanism. The producer, you stand to benefit. There's a little token in a handling fee. There is also a benefit of non-payment of flare penalties if these guys, the permit holder, succeed. However, if you have developed projects and you have for example, stipulated your minimum take or pay volume, and the flare gas buyer defaults, that obligation is now on the flare gas buyer. So we would not continue to hold the producer accountable after the project has been developed in line with the approved milestone and he has commenced of taking gas. If for poor judgment on his part, his facilities go down, it will not be the producer. It would have to continue to make those payments.
Until his facilities have been have started production, he has no responsibility for that at all. He's still with the producer.
The producer, yes.
Okay, Oje,
but he has to follow the milestone.
I understand.
And that's why all the mechanism.
Oje, you had a question.
Yes, just a little addition. I think it is good to also set the background here that what we are offering to flare gas buyer is actually the title that belongs to the government, as it were. So it's government, so the flare gas buyer are only coming, they are just like a vehicle that the government is using to implement what it could have done if we were to put a project in place itself. So I'm doing it through a third party. So if a producer decides to provide support by giving some kind of a security of that supply to a flare gas buyer, yes, that is the provisions we have in our regulation. If he is going to provide that security, that yes, this volume that you are saying you are taking on behalf of the government, I will continue, a kind of a guarantee, yes. But if they don't give any security or they don't care, it's like just business as usual. So, well, the government will take as much as it can, but whatever the government cannot take, I think the existing protocol just continues.
All right, thank you. We're now very, very short of time. We're almost done. Barrister Austin, how can producers, because if I was a bidder, I would like, okay, so in a way, my project depends on somebody's project. How am I sure that these producers have cognizance of these agreements? Do the producers, can they find out more of these agreements? Are they allowed to comment on it? How do we ensure that the agreement actually works and it sort of has their buy-in?
Sorry, are you referring to the suite of commercial agreements?
Yes, please.
So, this agreement that we have made available to the qualified applicants have also been made available to the producer. So please recall that in this business we are in of elimination of flare gas, is going to be a full collaboration between the government, the producer, and the preferred bidders that will eventually emerge from this process. So the agreement has been made available to them for their input. Aside from the connection agreement, which is going to be a direct agreement between the producer and the flare gas buyer, the other agreements have been made available to them. And all the input we are getting or will get after this time out will be reflected in the final document that will be executed. And the aim is to ensure that we have a seamless process to ensure that neither the producer nor the flare gas buyer have meets obstacle in the course of achieving and actualizing government desire to elimination of flare gas. Equally, we are proposing to see if we could bring in the producer into the gas sales agreement. We have not been able to firm that. I did mention that when I was making my presentation. This is just to further reiterate the fact that the producer are key players in this process we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last question, thankfully. And this is to Engineer Janice. How amenable is the NGFCP to aggregation, swaps, and inter-site linkages?
It is amenable to swaps, inter-site linkages, because if it makes sense, and I think Mr. Gushala talked about it a little bit. So if it makes sense for you to aggregate sites together in order to maximize the economic benefit of your proposal, it is allowed. If you also have to engage in swap arrangement even after your GSAs are signed in order to deliver gas to a certain point or to a certain off-taker, and you have a collaboration with a third party or another partner, that is allowed. These are all independent business arrangements that the bidders or preferred bidders may find attractive in course of doing business. There are no restrictions as to how to aggregate or whether the swap arrangement would be implemented. It is a normal process, especially even in gas business, to entertain swap arrangements and aggregation.
Thank you very much. That will be the end of this Q&A. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this. And I noticed that you guys did not murmur. So I would conclude that maybe we addressed some of your concerns and we provided clarity and comfort where there was none. I'm sure after this, we'll open the floor for you so you can then speak in your own words and ask your questions. But I would like to thank the esteemed panelists. I'll start from Madam Jennifer and the Power African team. Thank you very much. And to my colleagues that they're on this constantly, all the time, day and night. Thank you very much. Janice, Austin, Wale, and Doje. Thank you very much, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you very much. Let's give them one more round of applause. Without wasting too much time, the program management coordinator will take it from here for the interaction. As LA said, please, if they have addressed any concern of yours during this FAQ session, please let's not repeat questions, right? It would have helped if you had written down your questions earlier. It would have been fantastic. But if you haven't, I will just bring the audience with the microphone, and as he assigns any particular individual, I would do well to get the microphone to you. But please, when you get the microphone, keep your comment as concise as possible so we can release you out of here on time. I hear some of you are flying out of Abuja today. Cooperate with us during this session so we can get out of here in good time. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richmond. Thank you very much, dear qualified applicants and other stakeholders of the Nigerian gas flare commercialization program. I think this is the most important aspect of the program. Like the Commission Chief Executive mentioned, and he was clear about it, that we've got to hear from you. I think he said, even if we have to stay here until midnight to satisfy each of your queries, clarifications, questions, we've got to do so. And that's exactly what this session will be. We want you to indeed speak to us. It was important we did the prior session in order to tell you what we've been hearing. But I wonder, it appears Madam Ayanechi had some live questions. We prepared some questions, but she kept bringing some questions. I don't know where she was getting them from. But I think it's just to underscore that questions always come, and it is our interest, in our best interest, to address them. So speak to us now. And I think we should follow this mode. Generally, I think we are all very matured, responsible, and then our question would reflect that. Let me say certain things. This program is moving ahead. So it's not a question about why is the program moving ahead. No, it's moving ahead. It's a government program. It's underpinned by law and by the imperatives of energy transition. So we're not going to ask question about that. We're going to ask and deliberate on question of how the program has been structured. Okay, how can we optimize it? How can it offer better value to flare gas buyer? How can it optimize value for producers? How can it be a win-win in a sense that it's workable and we all can achieve results? We know in the business world, if we do not sue for a win-win scenario, we likely would just lose out. So how can we make this happen? And that should be the spirit of our question. So if you quickly identify yourself, your name and the company you represent, and then we'll take the questions. And esteemed panelists, we continue to field the question. Madam is there, right at the center of action. She would answer. So Richmond, I give it to you. Make your choice.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Folashade Aliu with ENL Consortium. I have a couple of questions. First one, I would like to know the role of the development partners on this project. Then the next one will be, there's a table, the section 6.2.3, the second bullet, it's talking about if you have any previous approval, permits, licenses, and the rest of that. So I want to, it sounds to me like there will be a preference for existing operators or people that are already in the game. Then the last question is, can you, in the application, in putting together the proposal, can you cross the categories? I'm talking about the land, the swamp, and can you select across categories, or you have to be in one category even if you want if you don't have well, let me put it this way. If you want a cluster, of course, it has to be together. But I'm saying that in order to create more flexibility, can you check from the different categories? Thank you.
So we'll take them in like 2-3 clusters.
Okay.
And then I'll come back. So if you can just make notes as they're asking. Please go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much, man.
Good afternoon. My name is Pascal Agnon from Alpha Energy. I have two questions. One, is it possible to make your fees in Naira? No matter what it is, make it in Naira so much easier to get to you. I understand the federal government just changed or have a Naira card now that we're supposed to be using. So can the fees be in Naira? That's one. Two, after you get your permit license, how do you then interface with the other regulators in terms of license to establish, license to construct, license to operate, and that is, in our opinion, quite, if you want to meet the timeline of 18 to 24 months, you have to streamline that process as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. My name is Sunday. I'm representing Trouble International. My question is about the bid bond. Given the risk around this concept, I mean, there's quite a level of uncertainty. I'm sure you understand that with me. We can see that the NUPRC is giving us assurance of the quality of data, but understanding the industry and how difficult it is to get quality data, especially gas, I still believe that it's still quite uncertain about that data quality. We are supposed to pay bid bonds, give bid bond, and it's difficult to get bid bond. We remember last time when we did this project, I think 2019, it was very difficult so my question is that what is it in place to make it easy for the qualified applicants to get this bid bond papers faster? And this is very, because I know that the bid bond it has to do with the quality, the amount of gas you want to obtain. But then, is it possible to make it easier for people?
So you can answer these three, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, thank you
for
very
some
much.
more.
Okay, so we've got question around development partner, their roles, their role in the program, and I think you've taken notes. So, ladies and gentlemen, so if you want to volunteer responses, please let me know right away. Maybe I should start with development partners. So, if we heard clearly when the CC was speaking. So it's a national aspiration to flesh out, but there's also a global commitment, the energy transition, the climate change. So because of this, development partners are actively involved. They want to support, they want to help out in line with their own aspirations and commitments. So because of this, we are leveraging on a number of support from different entities, like you said. There is a South Korean development institution. There's the World Bank GGFR, who had helped out in this program structuring and brought international perspective to it. And that's the role they are playing, support and advisory role. The other question you asked was on, can I mix and match? Okay, land, swamp, offshore. Okay, so my simple answer would be yes. It depends on what works for you. Okay, but we're talking about clustering, and we're talking about economies of scale in a cluster. So does it really will I get that sense of economy of scale if I move too far apart? So would I work that way? Or maybe I want to develop standalone projects that are independent. Why not? Why not? So I do not think there is any challenge. But we must see in your proposal what you want to do, the doability, the project execution plan. It should be very clear to us that you know what you are doing. Engineer Yao, you want to weigh in on that?
I think, Wale, you're spot on that, that clarity that you just brought on that subject. It's your proposal, right? It depends on your, the economic model. It depends on the profitability of the proposal. So you're free to mix and match, swamp, but if you ask me as an advisor, I might advise you against that. But that's my personal opinion, right? Because how are you going to actually combine from swamp to land? The logistics, the CapEx, the investment. So that's not the sense of clustering. Clustering would be looking at proximal flood sites. That's what makes sense. So where it doesn't make sense, I do not expect that your experts in economics modeling would allow you to submit that kind of proposal. But again, it's your proposal. So you are at liberty to make that choice. But I also want to weigh in one of the questions, right? So there was this question about what happens with the interference of other regulators, and then where there is need for them to license processing facilities. I would like to say that, of course, every player in this industry have obligation to obey the laws of the land. Your obligation to any regulator that has sphere of influence or that has purview in your operation, you're expected to meet the obligation. But as NUPRC, we are not we are looking after our own mandate. And what is our mandate? If you go to section 7E of the PIA, it states clearly that the matters of setting standards or operations for standards for operation and construction of facilities related to the elimination of flare is upstream operation, is under the purview of the commission. And I think the wisdom of that is that the government sees flare elimination by NGFCP as a special vehicle, a special purpose vehicle that shouldn't be hindered by a lot of bureaucracies of interagency encumbrances. And so from conception to market, basically, when it comes to flare gas elimination, you could check your 7E of the PIA. It states clearly that that is a technical responsibility of the commission. So with that, we do not envisage that we should be having issues of regulatory overlaps. However, if there are other areas, which there usually are, there are environmental concerns that you might need to interface with the environment. There might also be other regulators that you might need to interface with. It is your obligation to meet that requirement. And I think someone asked a question about bid bonds, how it was difficult and whether there's anything to facilitate that. My very simple answer to that would be, even in this room, we've invited some financial institutions that had indicated interest. And so there's going to be, and there is going to still be, the commission is also actually working to expand that handshake or that networking between the financiers, financial institutions, and the bidders in this room. And so with all of these efforts, we expect that there will be some, if you like, easement or facilitation that would occur that would help you to actually achieve, the acquiring of your bid bonds, faster than might usually be the case.
Thank you very much, Engineer. Okay, Engineer Jay.
Okay, just to speak a little more on the bid bond question, I recall very well that during the very first iteration of this program, it's a very serious concern raised by the QAs. And what they are really pushing for then is also not to go beyond the banks, because what we were requesting then was letter of credit. And of course, there was this suggestion that, okay, why not expand the envelope and also let the insurance company, the insurance firm, to also play in this field. And really, that idea has been carried on board in this very iteration. So we made provision such that if you cannot, for whatever reason, you are not getting the letter of credit, you can approach some Nigerian insurance firms. Of course, I think the RFP also did state the type of insurance firm, their class, their category. So you can, so that's just an avenue for you, so that if you felt letter of credit is too difficult for you, even though that is what we most prefer, but there's that provision for you to also approach those insurance firms that are within the category specified.
Thank you, Engineer. Okay.
So in addition to it, the RFP specified that you could either bring a letter of credit or demand guarantee. Now, for the insurance company, there must be insurance company accredited by NICOM as consolidated. So we had stated that category so that, but that will give you some leverage because of the challenges that we heard from you the first time of the challenges you're having with the banks. And I think with all this, the Commission as an enabling, a business enabler, we have put all this in place to ensure that we make this process a bit easy and easy for all of us.
Thank you very much, Barrister Austin. So there's a question on Alpha then paying the fees in Naira, so the dollarized payments, that's what you mean. So the data prying fee, the proposal fee. So maybe what we should say is we're taking that as a feedback and suggestion. And, oh, they're happy? Oh, you're murmuring. Yeah, so it's nice I'm not, I'm clearly not shooting it down. So let's take it, and it's a key action. We have rapporteurs who are taking this note of this key action, and we will evaluate it, and then make a determination in a way that supports you. That's the idea. I think we've answered those questions. Let me take the one from the paper before we called on. Yes, you raised it. Okay. No, maybe you should be clearer. What's it? Is that a provision in the RFP? Yeah, what does it say? I didn't cram the RFP. Let's give him some time, I think.
It says information is provided. Yeah, information to be provided at a minimum. Bullet number 2 there.
Okay.
Table 9. At a minimum, the following milestones stroke activities should be included. Note, this will be placed in the MDA. Any approvals, permits, and licenses for proposed project. That's the bullet of concern for us.
Okay. So, as part of your milestone development schedule, you've got to factor in the period to secure permits, approvals, and authorizations. So if that's the clarity you want, yes, please factor it in because it will inform the duration of specific milestones. Like the question on regulators, I think it's important to restate that. Remember, it's the Commission that owns the gas. And that's one unique difference about the former process. It was the federal government. It's the Commission. And we are seeing this gas from cradle to grave, underpinned by this agreement. So the Commission has a full view on this asset. And regulatory speaking, there's a streamlined regulatory approach to support you. So let me read some of this out. I have this. What happens where the preferred bidder in operations experiences lost implemented issues, cost implemented issues that affect bottom line and needs renegotiation with the Commission? So I think I've signed a GSA, I've made a proposal based on a certain gas price, and there have been issues. Is there an opportunity for renegotiation? Madam CSNLE, I want you to weigh in on this after Barrister Austin. So, it's a very important question. I know there are certain make-whole obligations in the GSA, something that protects you in certain eventualities, but I think it's limited. So, no, let me let you speak. So he's asking, if during operation something happens that affects the bottom line.
What's the bottom line? So
bottom line is the profit, the cost of doing business, significantly, and can they renegotiate?
So if I get the question right, when you say renegotiate, So I'm trying to struggle to understand what they are renegotiating. Now, recall that the price you have bidded was price that you bid. I mean, the price, the flare gas price is the price you have bidded during the bidding process. And it is presumed that your bid, you will have done all economics and all of that. So if I get this question right, it's saying that, oh, midway, maybe owing to whatever reason, you now say, if I continue to pay this price, I will not break even. Can I renegotiate?
And why he must say is that if we leave those windows open, so someone will just bid excessively.
Yes.
And come later behind the back and say, I
say-
want to negotiate with you. So the program does not give room for that.
So, but you know, the provision we have, there are provisions for force majeure in the agreement. When those events happens, you can follow the procedure for the force majeure, and you enjoy all those benefits that accrue to you under the force majeure. But whether you can renegotiate the price you had bidded and submitted, maybe I'll call on my boss to.
Okay, what, please?
That's
Not
what I
price.
wanted to know. Wale.
What do you want
Two
to
questions.
renegotiate?
If what happens, what would happen? What kind of scenario? And secondly, what do they want to renegotiate?
Sorry, can we find out something? Is that question online?
Yeah, can you say
or in
it?
the room? It was
Can you
online.
clarify? Can you clarify, please?
It's in the room. Question is in the room.
Let her clarify, please, yes. So that we know we are curing the right problem.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's not price per se. We know very well that whatever we are doing, we are incurring costs. You know, so when in analyzing our cost, we have factored in the price, and we have already said, okay, this is what it is. But you now get into the operation. There are circumstances, unforeseen circumstances that can come in, and you just see that you're not breaking even. At that point, when it's happening, for example, community gives you a whole lot of issues, and at the end of the day, you're not meeting up some certain things. Can we come back and say, okay, this is what we are experiencing? Is there any room for us to negotiate terms? You know, and then you've answered it on the force majeure too, but it's not just the price. Is there that flexibility that makes this agreement a proper contract and not a decree agreement?
So Wale, sorry, madam, I did not get your name, but please let's go to the specifics. So when you say you want to renegotiate terms, I'm sure you may have gone through the agreement. So speak to specific. What term of the agreement do you want to approach the commission on that you want us to renegotiate? So one of the key elements of the agreement is price, and you have said it's not price. So speak to specific. Let's know what term of the agreement you are speaking to then.
Can I just help, madam? All agreements can be renegotiated. Everything can be renegotiated. Agreements are hardly ever, even when an agreement is cast in concrete, it can still be renegotiated because parties just need to agree. An agreement will say that any variation will be with the joint, right? Agreement of the parties. So can you negotiate? Definitely. Will we accept your terms? Then that's what we cannot say because the occasion hasn't arisen. For sure, you can try to renegotiate. But are we bound to accept it? No.
All right.
Thank you, ma. I think...
let me thank you very much because you've answered the major question I wanted. But my name is Dr. Laureen. I represent Zekoya. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Laureen. Okay. So do we want to take...
Okay, you want me to take one more?
Yes, take a set of questions.
Good afternoon. My name is Motorayo from representing Emadeb Energy. Okay. Please kindly clarify the data and leasing fee accounts uploaded, if it's really applicable, if it's also applicable to the process proposal processing fee? Kindly clarify, please.
Thank you very much. We'll provide the clarity.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Chinedu Apareke. I represent Amazon Energy Group. I think the question I will ask is the elephant in the room. This is a process that had started a few months ago, and just a few days ago we were invited as pre-qualified bidders. We would like to know whether there is a leeway, because we have barely 4 weeks to do all this great work that we have to do to submit a robust and compelling proposal. I would like to ask whether there is a window for perhaps extending the February 28th deadline, because if we must do something, we should do it well so that it will succeed. Thank you.
Two more for this cluster. Who has
Okay.
the microphone?
So, hello. Yeah. Hello. My name is Suleiman from Montec. I have a few questions. Part of my questions is on the review of the technical bid when you're evaluating. You see, technology determines the cost of your, how to develop your facilities. Now, if you evaluate people based on the technology, I could be using a higher sophisticated technology to take the gas from the flare, to process it, treat the waste, and to evacuate. All those plans could be in my submissions, and some persons else would not do submission on technology that is on the level of technology I would apply to take my flare gas. Now, if you've technically evaluated that person as non-conforming to your template, now his cost might be well reduced. So what I think is, if you evaluate the technology, also tie it in and collaborate it with the cost. This is what I think. If you want to do a Formula One racing, you are using an Arteaga, somebody is using a Ferrari or a McLaren, you don't expect the race, the speed to be the same. That's why you have the bends, the curves, and the straight, because the takeoff could be very different. Now, security for facilities where you want to merge the producer and the bidders. If I have my facility to have my tie-ins, now you say the producer, I would hand over that my facility where you have the metering. What if I'm taking my gas and I don't have access to monitor that my metering point, and there's a breach in security where somebody else is taking the gas? Thirdly, composition of gas. We get the data. That is when we start preparing our bid. And the timeline is too short. You cannot tell your technical partners to start processing and tuning your facilities until you get the gas compositions. And the climatic and weather conditions of where the gas is being taken to determines how you will modify your modules, how you will create and design the optimal operating capacity of your equipment. Now you are giving us these compositions of this gas in a few days. That is when the process starts, and you are ending it on the 28th of February. Do you think that's feasible? Secondly, for me...
Thirdly.
Yes. Now, can we ask our operators to drill more wells for us to have maximum takeoff for... No, excuse please. Now, let's assume you have given us a disclaimer to say you are not going to be responsible. You will charge us at the end of the year, a year term calendar, if we don't take all of the gas we require to take. Now, if the operator doesn't give us enough gas to say they want to use the gas for reinjection, stimulate well to have their maximum operation to get out their well, we should be also, NUPRC should also be liable if they don't give us enough gas to take out, to say the operator must pay if they don't give us enough gas. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I appeal that we do not repeat questions.
He got
Please.
a round of applause.
Please, can I one last question for this cluster? You have my microphone. Shoot. Last question for this cluster. Go ahead, please.
Good day, everybody. My name is Mark Sienu Kechev. I represent Maxilo Engineering Limited. Please, Mr. Oje, you said a lot of things concerning about the data, the accuracy of the data. And to my knowledge, the section 5 of the regulation, gas flare regulation 2018 says that the accuracy of the data submitted to you, the commission, is to be guaranteed by the producer. Now, take a note to what you have said and to clause, I think 4.1, due diligence of this RFP you have sent to us. There you said the accuracy of the data being given to you, you should not be held responsible, neither you or the producer. So with what you have just explained to us, so that you have just explained something contrary to what the law says. So I'm of the opinion, or I'm advising that you should try and expunge or amend that clause. Secondly, the issue of that is carbon credit. Honestly, you need to tell us at what price would you, the government, purchase this carbon credit from us, from prospective bidders. You should be able to help us to do our economies and know how we are going to profit from this venture. Most especially where we have the Niger Delta or the community to take care of. You should be able to explain or give us a factor that will be able to give us a clue what government will purchase it from. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Please
very
answer
much.
now. Answer this clusters.
Thank you so much. I think you're okay. The gentlemen have their responses. Okay.
Okay, I actually would like to start from the bottom. The question about carbon credit price. The RFP, which is the document, actually specified, I think it's $2.15. Now, it is not the price government will purchase. Government is not purchasing any carbon credit from flare gas buyer. Remember that government is selling the gas to you, right? So government is not purchasing. Carbon credit is what you probably will earn by doing this environmentally important project. And you will earn that from mechanisms of carbon credit systems, either the World Bank, UNFCCC, or other exchanges like European Directive, and many other systems that you will scout for where to sell your credit. However, in the RFP, we had said, because it is going to be part of what you're going to factor in to determine your total take-or-pay NPV. There is take-or-pay NPV of the gas in terms of its volume, and there's also take-or-pay NPV for the anticipated carbon credit that will give you your total NPV. But we have given, just for the purpose of uniformity, $2.50. That does not say that that is the cost, either on the government or anything. It could be anything, right? So government is not buying any credit, but we have stipulated that you can use for determining your NPV generatable from carbon credit, you could use $2.15. It is there in the RFP, but it's just for the purpose of that calculation, all right? Then in terms of accuracy of data, who is held responsible, let me just say briefly about that. You quoted the regulations appropriately and correctly. The commission holds the producer accountable for inaccuracy of data. But gas flare buyer does not hold the commission responsible. The law, the regulation says we would hold. So what that tells you is that we've done due diligence. It is expected that the data that is submitted is accurate. However, we're saying it's a disclaimer that, okay, peradventure, in event that there is any, which we do not expect, right? That you are not going to hold, that the commission would not be subject to any issues. It is part of this. But we are following the terms of the regulation. We have held and would continue to hold the producers accountable for the inaccuracy. So we're going to do what we need to do as regulators to hold them accountable. That you can be sure of. And that will be a basis for you to expect that whatever data that you're getting is going to be a data that is credible. Maybe OJ might want to also weigh in on that. Now, if the producer is not giving you sufficient volume, you said, can they pay? Now, the producer would not do anything. You talked about reinjection. The producer would not do anything that would undermine or encumber the volume forecast that you already have. That is part of this expectation. That is the regulation. So whatever volume that has been captured in the profile, which you would see in the data room, there wouldn't be anything like, because the producer wants to use the gas for reinjection, that the gas will be tampered with. It is not allowable. The commission would not allow that to happen. Any producer that would encumber already agreed volume, which we have put on sale in this auction, appropriate sanction await such producer based on our regulation. And I think the point about extension beyond February 28th, I think is a feedback to take home. I can't say much about that.
Thank you very much, Engineer Anyang. I think we've talked about the data enough. I think that's okay, so we can move speedily. Is there any other point you want to talk about? There was a question on the fees. So we've got in the RFP, in the subsidiary document, the account numbers for data prime, leasing, and the proposal submission fee. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Yes, we do have it. We do have it. So if there is any ambiguity, it's going to be uploaded in the revised RFP to be issued after this collection. If there is any ambiguity, you have all these numbers. So there's a schedule. I think you've said the issue on schedule. We may have time to talk about it a little later because we expect that will be what is common to many. There was a question on technology and evaluation. And there's a gentleman over there who was trying to compare how do we do evaluation based on technology choices. So maybe what I would say first is that we don't need a Ferrari for flare gas capture. In fact, it has been the Ferraris that never made us achieve flare elimination. And that's why we're taking it off the producers and giving it to small-sized companies who will deploy small, scalable, modular solutions. So please use a Volkswagen Beetle. Once it can move the gas, and don't use a Ferrari. We remember there was a comment by Engineer on responsive bids. So you cannot just tell us that it will cost this amount. We have benchmarks. That would not qualify. So we expect for technology types to be within a reasonable band that is established as benchmarks in the industry. Yours cannot be totally different. The evaluation criteria is clear. Envelope 1 is technical and commercial, and it's not competitive. So once you scale the 70% mark, you will progress. The competitive element is envelope 2, which is the financial proposal. So as many of us can qualify, same set of flare sites, we will go through and go to the battleground in the financial proposal. So once you meet basic requirements for technical and technology competency, you should be able to go ahead. Just please use what is sufficient, safe, operational, that would not send you out of the bank.
Now let me also just answer one question that I think is still left. And that is, someone talked about where the access to the measuring facility and perhaps the producer precludes you or excludes you from looking at that, and you said someone will now be tapping your gas, and then you don't have access to it. I think that is actually not we mean by anything that we have said here. In normal oil and gas operation, where there is such a joint operation, there is always joint calibration, joint monitoring of the facility. These are part of what your connection agreement will actually take care of. All right? So it is not a case, it is not a black box to you where you're blindfolded and you do not know what is going on there. But the point is, in terms of who the operator is, that will be the producer in that case, for many of the reasons that we have highlighted and that will be captured in the connection agreement. But do you have access? Do you know the integrity? Do you see the operation and performance of that facility? Absolutely, you do.
Sorry.
Yes.
So in addition, recall that the gas belongs to the government. That metering record that will be taken by the producer is under obligation to submit that to the commission. So beyond the fact that you reconcile those metering with him, commission too still have an oversight over this record. And this is to further give you comfort to the extent that whatever volume of gas that ought to have passed through that metering point to the delivery point we get, if there are discrepancies, those records will be taken.
Thank you very much. Let me take a few of these questions here. For offshore facility, will the government guarantee and obtain for the gas flare permit holder a portion of the FPSO or platform to operate from? Okay, so I think I've got my answer from the room. But maybe it's not necessarily a question we can discountenance. It could be challenging. We know deep water operations and even offshore operations, how space is usually a challenge. It does not seem likely from engagement with producers that they would want you to be within their perimeter. There's some assurances we have to give them about our monitoring your safety performance and operability. So that will be a tough thing. However, if because there is a relationship with the producer and there are space availability, maybe there have been deck space available for a gas solution that was never implemented, and you agree, be rest assured that the commission will support you once it is agreed on a bilateral basis. So let's take that in principle. If it's workable, why not? We'll be willing to support you if it meets minimum safety requirements. Can you please explain the maximum bid bond and at what stage of the process the bid bond is required? I think we mentioned this. So the bid bond, quickly, Engineer Barrister Austin. You're not an engineer.
So the bid bond, as you'll be submitting your proposal now, you'll be required to submit a bid bond. And the bid bond will have a lifespan throughout the evaluation period. And I think in the RFP, whether we put a maximum of 6 months, I'm not too sure, I think about 6 months, but renew 6 months. Yes, 6 months. So, and it's in the event that this evaluation process extend beyond these 6 months, the commission will require you to extend the lifespan of the bid bond. But yes, you submit the bid bond as you are submitting your proposal.
Okay, just to also provide further clarification, I think maybe the question also seeks to know how do you determine the value of that bid bond. So we have a schedule in the RFP, and he did talk about benchmarking just now. So for the various technology that you may wish to deploy, so there is a value there and how you calculate. So basically it's just 1% of the CapEx based on whichever technology you are looking at. And of course, it is capped at a maximum of $1 million. So even though if your project is becoming so big and your bid bond is capped at $1 million. So if your project is becoming so big that the 1% exceed $1 million, then of course you cap it at $1 million. I see somebody saying no, it's two. No, the $2 million is the same principle, but that is for the milestone development bond.
Okay, let me quickly run through this. Can you please explain, will the data room be accessed remotely after payment and for how long? Yes, it's virtual. It's an online data platform. For how long? It's for the duration of the bid submission due date, up until the bid submission due date. Who is responsible for the installation of the metering system? I think in the discussion on connection agreement that was handled. So you, flare gas buyer, are paying for it. It will be developed. It will be developed by you. It will be paid by you. It will be transferred to the producer to operate and maintain. And it will charge an handling fee. So it's your facility. But so that we can give comfort to the producer, it will be in his facility. And you will have access based on the stipulation of the connection agreement. So this is one way we have seen that can work, and you can see the support from producers. How do you ensure that the gas produced do not go into competition with the flare gas buyer by installing a flare elimination on a facility? I think we discussed this. Flare profile submitted is ring-fenced. A cease and desist order has been issued, and as such, you're protected on those flare volume. So the idea is on as is, where is basis. However, they cannot do any other thing. We approve the projects. We are always there. They cannot choose to reinject or choose to develop any other facility. What we have also seen, and it's in the flare data you will see, is that the operators were a little bit conservative. And because it's a forecast, and a forecast that is more than 5 years or so, it's at best a crystal ball. You can't really tell, But we think they are conservative because we see the trend, and we think that we would even have a little more than what you have seen. But we stayed on the conservative leg because it's better you build your business case on that basis, and then we can only have upsides.
Okay, so
Richmond,
I want to make a very special appeal at this juncture. Okay, before I do that, I want to ask this question. If you're flying out of Abuja today, can I say by show of hand, you're flying out today, for the sake of these distinguished attendees, let's not have a flare time situation, right? So we're going to bring this to an end. However, I've been directed by my boss, the LA, to take 1 or 2 more. But what I would do, you can permission me, is 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. What microphone is here, this is sorted. There is the lady whose hand is up, there will be 1 person here, it will be you. But please, no questions with children, please. It's just 1 question, so we can finish on time. Sir, go ahead. No questions with children, sir. Please, go ahead.
Okay, all right. My name is Anthony Soja. I represent Citadel. My question is just a follow-up to what Engineer Janice had answered, which was regarding the projected volumes from the producers. Yes, we understand that you have appropriations for the producers, but then also, if we don't get the volumes that we are supposed, that we projected, it's going to affect our operations and, of course, certainly the bottom line. So are there any incentives that will cater to that?
Next question, go ahead.
All right, thank you. My name is Uche Waja, Viewing Limited. I have 3 questions, but I learned that 1 has been addressed already. The CEO, in his introductory speech, mentioned clustering of flare sites. I would like to know what it means. And the second question is the petroleum sector.
No, the second one. It's question with children. Have you asked 1? Sorry, let me do this. Forgive me. The remaining questions, I'll pass it on to them. It will be addressed. Can we take the next question, please? Time is far gone. Thank you, ma. Sorry. Forgive me. I'm usually not like this. Forgive me. Please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Doris Apoa, a Sostec ACO Consortium. So my question is around, for those who bidded the last time, went through all the trouble to pay even the bid bond and all that. This time around, is there a way to support that whole effort by at least giving them the option not to pay for prime the data, because they already paid for prime fee. They also paid to lease the data, So what can be done to help people in that class? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you recall that we granted concessions at the RFQ stage, that whatever you had paid in terms of proposal submission would stand to your credit. That other option has not been applied in the RFP stage, okay? But what is safe to say is we take that as your feedback. We take and take note of that. The Commission Chief Executive in philosophy has just said, as much as we can stretch to honor the prior commitments of existing bidders, we should, in line with the law. And exactly that's what we're going to do. So we take that feedback quickly. Volume assurance. So there was a question on volume assurance. And his question is clear. We know it's a forecast. They will build a project based on this forecast. How can we make them whole if issues happen?
Okay. Again, the commission is a business. And I mean, that is the running string in all that we do. And you heard when the CS and LA said that all contracts are negotiable, but it depends on what are the terms. So what it means is, assuming for whatever reason, the forecast that was given and upon which your proposal was made, in actual operation for some whatever reason, it isn't what you are getting. I think you would need to come back. There's always going to be a discussion. There's always going to be a discussion to see how to address maybe any such matters. But it isn't something we can state clearly that, oh, this is how it is going to be addressed. But of course, we can have discussion, because we are here to help this business succeed. If the evidence shows that the forecast was by far either grossly estimated or the other way around, and then it's no longer making economic sense, and we can see that clearly, I am certain that the commission would have a way to deal with that situation such that you still make sense out of your business. Thank you.
Okay, let me just maybe provide additional aspects to the question, sir. It depends also on the flex side of choice that you've taken. And I think Barrister Osun did talk about it, talking about the potential for what he calls top-up. That is gas top-up or make-up. Okay, so you have your projects going on. There may be 4 or 5 years down the line, the flare volume you are seeing is actually lesser than what you've designed your facility for. I think there is an opportunity, there should be, for you to engage the producer. And that is between you. Please, can you provide me with a top-up? Or even, okay, maybe this thing, what I've done this is for 10 years, and my facility, the lifespan has been extended, and I could continue here, even though what I've done is just 10 years. But there is opportunity. You can also talk to him. Can you please extend, this thing for me? Can we have a make-up or a top-up so that you continue to operate at your optimal level that you want to operate? Of course, those top-up volume, those additional volumes, you are going to be discussing that with the producer so that at least he can provide that. It becomes a mix of the gas that you now have to run your facility. I think it's an option that you may also want to explore to ensure you remain in operation.
Let me also act like the commission secretary when OJ comments. We will not leave you alone. The commission will not leave you alone. Because we want you to succeed and take away these flares. And we understand the inherent, again, challenges of flare capture. So a lot of mechanism will be in place. And I'm very happy that she mentioned again that all agreements are negotiable. So very likely we'll be able to get to equitable terms that will be able to support your business. I think that's the thinking, and that's the grand philosophy of this program. Thank you very much. You really have done very well in asking us questions. We wish we could have taken more, but we should honor a number of persons who will be leaving, and there is still some part of the program to go on. But please, we will optimize, and I must say, we apologize that some of you may have gotten delays in our responses to your inquiries with NGFCP inquiries. We apologize. A program, a structure is in place now to ensure you get responses expeditiously. So all these questions that you have asked will be populated, and question and answer, and will be made available for everyone, those in this room and those who never came. And as well as other questions you ask us, we will keep a log of question and answers and make them available on the portal to all bidders. We think this will help to help you make decisions quickly and support your proposal submission effort. Thank you very much for your active engagement during this session.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And that it goes also to those whose question did not get to me on paper. You can go on the portal and leave those questions or comments on the inquiries part of the portal, and it will be attended. Thank you. Let's give them a round. Please, you can go and sit down. Let's give them a round of applause. Take your seats real quick. Okay, one quick group photograph, one quick family photo. Elema, if you can join. While we're doing that, I quickly invite Mr. Adeyemi Adeiga. He would moderate this next segment. Very few minutes were done. After that, LA would give closing thoughts. Okay, now this segment is something you need to hear, you need to be a part of. This segment deals with what some of the things that's mentioned earlier, insurance companies and the bonds and all of that, financiers, technology providers, service providers. All of this will be part of what this segment is dealing with. So you want to listen to these subject matter experts who would come and address some of those concerns, or even perhaps highlight for you some of the things you might not be fully aware you would need to proceed in this venture. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Standing on the existing protocols, I just want to say two things. The first and the foremost thing I want to say is we are business enablers, and we are here to enable your business as much as we can reasonably do under the ambit of the law. So please, as you are going out today, have that at the back of your mind, that we are business enablers. Having said that, I have some of us who are here that they are just technology providers. There are some of us who are financiers. They are not interested in actually bidding for any flare site. And as business enabler, we want to bring some of them to us to tell us about what they have to offer if we are interested in using them. And a very quick disclaimer, these are not preferred commissions people. We are just giving them opportunity to tell us what they have. And if you are a technology provider here also, the same opportunity could have been given to you if we had known ahead of time. So we have, they are not our preferred, provider. They are not our preferred financiers. They are just here to just give you a glimpse on what they are doing. And quickly, I'm going to be calling, I won't take much of your time, Mark Alpha Incorporated Canada, if they are ready, their presentation in 3 minutes, please. Mark Alpha Kule. If it is not ready, it's ready. if I were in the church, I would have said, let us start a small praise worship so that we can keep up with time. But fortunately, I am not in the church right now. But we can start one, can't we? Okay.
Can we go to the next?
Can we go to the next? Yes. Can I have Mr. Adeola Adeyanju, Prime Atlantic?
He's here.
Yep. 3 minutes, please.
McAlpha Technologies.
No, hold on. Adeola,
in this
please,
presentation, we will cover the following.
You want to continue? Okay, continue. Okay.
We specialize in emissions reduction and elimination services for the oil and gas sector, converting flare gas into valuable products, thereby removing penalty paid on emission by the customer and increasing their revenue from the sales of the valuable products, while improving the environmental air quality. The low cost of our technological innovation makes it easy for our customers to acquire compared with conventional existing technologies. Case study. This slide shows an overview of our pilot plant. Pilot plant history. Pilot plant design, 2010 to 2012. Construction and installation, 2012 to 2013. Chemical commissioning, 2013. Start of operations, 2013. First liquid production, 2014. Pilot plant overview. Number of Singas reactors, 1. Number of FT reactors, 4. Plant capacity, 3 BPD. Our technology. McAlpha Inc. in collaboration with Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen, Scotland, developed a versatile catalytic membrane reactor that is able to take in flare or flue gas and convert it into syngas, circumventing the steam methane process. This will reduce the capital expenditure of a typical gas-to-liquid plant by about 35%. This is the block flow diagram showing summary of the process. Our solution will treat greenhouse gas emissions from flare stacks as feedstocks for value-added chemical building blocks for clean fuel production, synthetic material manufacture, and blending of heavy crude. This will remove the cost of carbon capture and penalty paid by customers for their emissions. Customers generate revenue while reducing their carbon footprints. A scale-up demonstration at the emission site is required following a pilot carried out in Middlesbrough, United Kingdom. This technology will become commercialized afterwards. The competition. The steam methane reforming process of the conventional technology cost about 60% of the capex to set up. Our innovation will reduce the capex by up to 35% by replacing the steam reforming process with the membrane catalytic reactor. Our special sauce. We have developed a membrane catalytic reactor that is physically stable and embedded with catalysts to generate syngas. The formation of syngas is required for the production of synthetic fuel in the FT process. This will replace the large footprint and high energy intensive steam methane reforming process that also generates large amounts of CO2 for generating syngas in conventional GTL technology. You can contact us at.
Thank you very much. So next to come up, wait Mr. Adeyanju, just a minute please. I want to invite Mr. Berend van der Bar to have a talk with us. Kole? Okay.
Can you hear me? I can hear you. Let's go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, good morning or good afternoon in Nigeria. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And let me first of all congratulate the NGFCP and the NUPRC for this initiative. And let me try to give some word of wisdom and advice to the people who are looking to bid. And what you must remember, this is the first time this has ever been done in this manner anywhere in the world, where the government of Nigeria is not prescribing the bidders what they should do, nor is it telling them what price to pay. That is unique in that you as a bidder have to really look at the map and see where you can create value. I say this because I'm a project developer, and I will give you a very brief introduction on what I'm doing here in Ecuador and Colombia. But what you have to look for is CapEx, OpEx, and yield, and how to connect the dots. On the one hand, you have associated gas at a very competitive price, and then on the other hand, you have a market that is starved of energy. I was able to capture one of the inquiries that was made by someone who asked, what happens if down the road I don't have the amount of gas that was forecast? And that is something we have to deal with, I have to deal with, anytime you're dealing with associated gas. And the response that was provided by the NUPRC is spot on. You should not only look at the flare gas. Make sure you engage with the producer so that you can find a way to obtain other products like makeup gas, as we call it, for certain moments when you may have a shortfall in flare gas, top up if you need more to create economy of scale, or to extend it beyond what you have in the flare forecast. You have to do a proper risk analysis. And the two main ways to mitigate the risk is, on the one hand, making sure that you have your feedstock, and on the other hand, the way we do it here is make sure you have plug-and-play type technology. I will give you an example of what I do. I have developed a power generation facility all within a 40-foot container where I can take untreated gas and I can convert it into electric power in an efficient manner. I can take a wide range of gas because we have gas with 70% CO2, 5% CO2, a lot of propane, butane, hexane, and in some cases it is mainly methane. And I have oil companies who are only willing to engage in a one-year contract, which means that I have to develop a product that I can move around from flare site to flare site, which means I have an asset which economic life cycle is not pinned down to one flare site, but it is a portfolio player that I can move around. I'm saying this not because this solution fits all of the situations, but what I'm saying is that you have to be creative. You have to do a proper risk analysis. Unfortunately, there is no 100% de-risking instrument whereby in the event of a shortfall of flare gas, you're made whole. It doesn't exist. It would be beautiful, and maybe sometime down the road that can be achieved. But right now, it's up to you as a bidder to do a proper risk analysis technologically and economically, commercially. And in Nigeria, of course, you also have the risk of an exchange rate where you can have debt in US dollar, revenues in Naira. So there's a lot of things that you have to look at, and you have to price that properly, and you have to find ways to de-risk it. I think a great opportunity in Nigeria, because you have flare gas, non-associated gas, and you associated gas and non-associated gas, try to find a portfolio whereby the economics are based on the very low price of flare gas, but also try to bring in some non-associated gas into the mix, into the basket, so that in the event of a shortfall, you're not left with a stranded asset.
I guess
I don't want to extend it any longer, and I thank you.
Okay, thank you. I was about stopping him. Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Adeyanju, can we please have you?
Thank you, sir. And I'll make it very quick. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adiola Adeyanju, and I work for a very Nigerian company called Prime Atlantic Group. I run two businesses in Prime Atlantic Group, but today I'll be talking about one of our businesses called Prime Atlantic Global Instruments. Today, quite a number of times you've talked about metering, about that point where you do the metering, where you do all of those analysis, and this is what we do. We've done quite a lot of what we call custody transfer, where you can actually do the metering solution. I just wish that we could have a couple of, we had a couple of slides that I wanted to run through very quickly. But I think the key thing, please just scroll, move forward. Please go on. I want to, all right. So this is what we call a Coriolis meter. A few years ago, we sat with the old DPR to get the Coriolis approved for custody transfer in Nigeria, because the Coriolis technology doesn't have any movable parts, so it requires almost little or no maintenance, unlike most meters. It has probably the highest accuracy you can find for any kind of metering for gas solutions. The Coriolis is manufactured by several OEMs. We represent a number of them. I'm not here to push a particular OEM. I think the key thing I wanted to emphasize with this is that it's probably the best technology in the world today for gas metering, and it's something that we have deployed in a number of places. If you please go ahead. It has a number of benefits. This was something we did at the Egbin Power Station. And so it doesn't even matter the pipeline size and all of that. The Coriolis can be configured to different pipeline sizes. It comes with different kinds of transmitters that measure pressure, temperature along the line. So not only are you getting quantity, you're getting also the parameters. And then along with that, we'll also typically implement what we call a gas chromatograph. It does real-time analysis of the gas. So if you're using for things like power generation, your gas needs to get to the power plant at specific parameters so that your turbine, it just improves the efficiency of your generation if it's power for whatever application. So you also install a gas chromatograph on that line. It helps with analysis. So you're checking quantity, you're checking quality at the same time. And it's something that we have done. If you just move on top. We've done these are some of the partners that we work with in terms of brands. We're certified installers, we're certified what we call, I'm trying to find the right word now, but we support all of these brands in Nigeria. A lot of them have the company themselves are here in Nigeria, but they don't have service people. So they do a lot of selling and the rest, and we do installation, commissioning, and if you want, we can buy on your behalf. Last slide, please. Okay, so these are some of the people that we have done these metering solutions for. FIPL, we've done with Shell. Right now, we're doing something with NGMC where we're helping them look after a number of their equipment, instruments, across different locations. There are gas chromatographs from different brands, actually. They've got Emerson, they've got ABB, they've got different brands. So for us, it doesn't matter what brand you prefer. The key thing, we just wanted to emphasize that we can support you on this. For the people who have to run their numbers, if you need us to help you with that, so that if you're factoring a metering station and all of that into your analysis, please feel free to talk to us. The last slide shows our phone number and our email address. I'll be happy to support you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, last on the technology provider side is CL Invest. CL Invest.
Overview of our service offering. We're going to cover 4 areas, and the first is who we are. We're a hands-on investment company in Norway, and we serve oil and gas companies in Africa, the Middle East, and Central Asia. To scale up our impact goals, we're backed by our strategic partner, OGCI Climate Investments, and we also leverage our network of cooperation partners and subcontractors. To date, we have generated 70 million euro of carbon finance, and our projects have reduced 9.2 million tons of carbon dioxide. What we can do for you. We offer a full-service approach to emissions reductions project development for flare gas recovery projects, leak detection and repair, vapor recovery units, and voluntary carbon credit projects. Our one-stop shop approach covers each project's entire value chain, from project identification and planning to financing, and all the way to monetizing the outputs, that is, the hydrocarbons, which are all yours, and the emissions reductions, which we split with you. It means we develop the entire project on a risk basis. We can also offer CapEx, and through our strategic partners, capacity building. We sell the credits in the German fuel quality directive market, but we also have the option to sell into voluntary markets. Projects in Nigeria. We've been active in Nigeria since 2005 and with an office in Lagos since 2011 through our strategic partner, Carbon Limits Nigeria. With our Nigerian partner, we've run 3 flare gas recovery projects. These are the 2 most recent ones, shown here in the Niger Delta. If you're interested to know more, please feel free to get in touch via our website or by email, and we'd like to thank you for watching this video.
Thank you for watching the video. So on the part of the founder, I just have one presenter, Abraham Durosowo. Are you still in the house? For ARM. Okay, we do also have an Zenith Bank, Access Bank in the house also. They will probably be moving around talking to each and every one of us that might be interested in what they have to offer. With that much, I want to say thank you and for your patience and for your cooperation.
Can we please appreciate our moderator for this session? Thank you very much. Mr. Adeyemi Adeiga. Real quick for the closing remarks and wrap-up, welcome again Commission Secretary and Legal Advisor, Barrister Mrs. Olayemi Ayanechi. Please let's welcome her with a warm applause. This is the last. I will come back and make a few announcements when she's done, and that will be it.
Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. And let me just observe all protocols. I don't know, I need to say thank you very much. You've been here since 10 o'clock, and you sat down patiently. No restlessness at all. That's really, really nice. That's commendable. I believe we've all done everything that has been said today. I know that we still have concerns. Most of those concerns trail around the fact that do we have the support of the producers? How do you guarantee the continuous supply of your feedstock so you can continue to do your business? I believe that those are the two main concerns. We understand these concerns and we are working assiduously on them. And as Wale said earlier on, we are your commission, we will be there. We know that along the way, you may need our interference, you may need our interjection, you may need our support. We will continue to give it. Ultimately, reducing gas flare is not only a commission objective, it's a national objective, it's a presidential objective, it's a global objective. And we need to find a way to work together to make this work. I like the fact that people have sat here so patiently. It shows the resolve at the heart of the bidders, and I must congratulate you all for that. So we are at the end of this event. Thank you. I know some of you have to travel to different places. I wish you a very, very safe journey. Please, we've taken your comments on board. We have people that were taking notes, and when we leave this place, we will update our RFP where that is required, where we need to talk to the CCE. We will talk to him. We will see how we can make things more adaptable, more flexible, more commercial for you. And until then, I must say thank you very much on behalf of the Chief Executive of the Commission, on behalf of the senior management team of the Commission, and our team that have done all this work. But before I go, I need to thank them. It is a lot of work. I mean, even as we're here, we're actually running 2 other parallel meetings in this same hotel. But I mean, that's the job that we've taken. That's our mandate. We are happy to do it. And we thank you for that you continue to support us. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand over this to Richmond. Thank you. On behalf of the Commission.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, so two quick announcements. First off is that the slides you've seen here today will be sent to your registered email addresses. The ones you registered to this event with, it will be sent there. So all those who are looking for how to get it, don't worry, it's going to come to you. And then secondly, lunch is served just next door. There is a restaurant called Oriental. That's the wall you're looking at there. Enjoy your lunch and have Godspeed back to your respective destinations. Bye-bye, and enjoy the rest of the day.